Chapter 715. The East Spirit City Lord naturally recognized Lin Feng. After A.O. Lin was killed, he had put Lin Feng on the wanted list and sent the East Peace Army to search everywhere. He was very familiar with Lin Feng, but he never imagined that the brat from that day would become the saber demon Lin Feng, who made the entire 33 continents tremble in fear. In less than a year, the East Spirit City Lord felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Lin Feng's aura didn't give him any chance to move. Even someone as strong as Niamo, his teacher, was killed in a single blow, let alone him. If he had any other thoughts, he would die the moment he tried to escape. Plop! The East Spirit City Lord fell to his knees, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He knew when to yield and when to stand tall. He was willing to pay any price to survive. "Sir, please spare me. I didn't want to do what I did that day. I was forced to do it." Lin Feng's figure flashed and landed in front of the East Spirit City Lord. Looking down at the one-armed man, Lin Feng asked, "How much do you know about A.O. Lin?" The East Spirit City Lord broke out in a cold sweat. A.O. Lin was the one who looked for me that day. He wanted me to send the Eastcom army on a mission. I didn't know it had anything to do with you. Sir, you know A.O. Lin's identity. With the Nirvana sect backing him, we didn't dare to disobey. What about the Thunderbolt Palace? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The East Spirit City Lord was stunned. Thunderbolt Palace? What's the Thunderbolt Palace? He didn't know. Lin Feng instantly understood. He had expected this. The Thunderbolt Palace betraying him must have something to do with A.O. Lin and the Nirvana sect. The East Spirit City Lord naturally wouldn't be involved. After all, he was just an agent, not a mastermind like A.O. Lin. Simply put, the East Spirit City Lord wasn't qualified. "Do something for me," Lin Feng said. The East Spirit City Lord's eyes lit up. "Please tell me, sir. I will do as you say." Lin Feng said in a low voice, "Spread the news. Send word to the Thunderbolt Palace. Tell them Lin Feng has come for revenge." The City Lord of East Spirit City was not stupid. He nodded in understanding. "Understand, my lord." Lin Feng nodded. He glanced at the City Lord of East Spirit City, his eyes burning. In an instant, a force shot out from his finger. The Thunder Dragon roared and shot through the City Lord's body with a swoosh. The latter fell heavily to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled violently, and his face was deathly still. The soul of the earth was crippled. Unless there was a rare and precious holy fruit or a heaven-defying fortuitous encounter, the City Lord of East Spirit City was done for. But no matter what, his life was saved. "Thank you, Your Excellency, for sparing my life." The East Spirit City Lord endured the pain and kowtowed. Thunderbolt Palace. It was a famous sect in the 33 continents. It was ranked 7th among the 10 great sects, while the Blade sect was ranked 2nd. It was a powerful force that was only second to the Blood Mansion. Every day, countless martial artists who desired to enter the Tao of Saber would come to learn from him. Even in the Nirvana world, the Thunderbolt Palace had a small force. But the rise of Blade Demon Lin Feng alone was enough to suppress the Thunderbolt Palace. The news from East Spirit City made the Thunderbolt Palace feel as if they were facing a great enemy. The entire sect was in danger. The disciples were as silent as cicadas in winter, their hearts filled with fear. Blade Demon Lin Feng was coming. How could this be? How did our Thunderbolt Palace provoke this demon? I heard that it was young Master Wang Tua who caused this. That day, he teamed up with A.O. Lin to kill Lin Feng, but failed and provoked revenge. It's over. Blade Demon Lin Feng is completely unreasonable. The entire Nirvana sect was razed to the ground, and innocent disciples were killed. The Eastcom army suffered even worse. More than 10,000 casualties. I heard that the entire East Spirit City is in chaos now. Even the elders of the East Pole Palace were killed for no reason. He's already a demon. What's the use of reasoning with such an evil person? So what if he's unreasonable? Who can beat him? The entire Thunderbolt Hall was in a state of panic. The Blade Demon Lin Feng was about to arrive. It was as if a layer of black haze had enveloped them. Every day, many disciples would flee. However, Lin Feng's notoriety was too great. Although the helmsman, Wang Chi-he, had tried his best to stop him, the effect was not great. What's going on? Wang Chiha's forehead thundered as he raged. Below him were his two sons, Wang Jin and Wang Ta. Wang Jin's gaze was sharp, and his raised eyebrows carried a hint of arrogance and self-confidence. Father, in my opinion, a battle with Blade Demon Lin Feng is unavoidable. Instead of being controlled by others, why don't we join forces with the other sex? Although this matter was caused by my younger brother, as his elder brother, I can't shirk my responsibility. Wang Tuo's eyes were as sharp as knives. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. Father, please leave this matter to me. Based on my understanding of Lin Feng, he's definitely not an executioner who can't differentiate between good and evil. Wang Chiha frowned, not saying a word. No matter what choice they made, Thunderbolt Palace would have to face a very difficult situation. Wang Jin shook his head and said, "Second brother, you're wrong. What if Lin Feng turns his back on us? What should we do? Then I'll use my life to pay for it." Wang Tuo held his head high, his eyes filled with determination. No matter what, I can't shirk my responsibility in this matter. Wang Chiha's expression was solemn. What happened that day? Tuo, how did you get involved with Lin Feng? And A.O. Lin's matter. What's the exact situation? Is there any misunderstanding? Tell me in detail. Yes, father. Wang Tuo nodded. After a while. So, this matter is also related to Junior Brother Shen and Protector Luo? Wang Chiha's brows were filled with anger. Men, bring the two of them up. Yes, Wang Chiha. The disciples stepped out of the great hall. Suddenly, whoosh. A black shadow appeared like a ghost, causing the Thunderbolt Palace disciples to jump in fright. Wang Jin and Wang Wei were startled and turned their heads. Wang Chiha, who was at the helm, stood up abruptly. He was like an unsheathed saber, his eyes bright. Clang, clang, clang. The disciples hurriedly pulled out their swords, but they were instantly brushed by a huge force and flew out with a groan. Bang! A heavy sound rang out. Lin Feng tossed a heavily injured and bloody body onto the floor of the hall. Protector Luo? Protector Luo. Wang Chiha and the other two were stunned. The beautiful woman in front of them was Luo Yunling, one of the three from Thunderbolt Palace that day. But now, her beautiful face had lost its color, and her face was deathly pale. There was no trace of her former radiance. The moment he saw her, Wang Jin's expression turned ugly. Wang Tuo seemed to have understood something and looked at Lin Feng. Brother Lin, the helmsman, Wang Chiha, stared at Lin Feng without saying a word. She has already confessed. Lin Feng spoke directly, his cold eyes looking straight at Luo Yunling. Just as she was about to escape, I caught her and brought her back. Once this was said, everyone was shocked. Luo Yunling, who was lying on the ground, trembled slightly, her eyes closed in despair. On the other side, Wang Jin unconsciously clenched his fists, cold sweat seeping out of his forehead. Is it very hot, young master? Lin Feng said indifferently. To be continued. Chapter 716. No, it's none of my business. Wang Jin's face paled as he hurriedly shook his head. Lin Feng smiled. Did I say it's none of your business? Wang Jin immediately blushed. Wang Chiha, who was at the helm, still frowned. He looked at his eldest son, Wang Jin, and then at Lin Feng. Saber Fiend, what's going on? That's right, Brother Lin. I'm confused. How does this have anything to do with Big Brother? Wang Tuo was confused. It has nothing to do with me. I only found out later. Wang Jin said anxiously. Lin Feng didn't look at Wang Jin. His gaze landed on Luo Yunling. Back then, I had already accepted Brother Wang Tuo's invitation to join Thunderbolt Hall. Wang Chiha widened his eyes when he heard that. His face twitched slightly. Did he hear wrongly? The runner-up of the Battle of Glory, Saber Fiend Lin Feng, who was now ranked first on the Battle of Glory. He was originally going to join Thunderbolt Hall? Ignoring Wang Chiha's complicated expression, Lin Feng's gaze sharpened as he looked at Luo Yunling. Unfortunately, someone secretly hindered me. I was heavily surrounded by A.O. Lin and the Eastcom army. I narrowly escaped death. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to escape. Guardian Luo? Wang Qia's eyes widened. Lin Feng said, firstly, she can obtain many benefits from AO Lin. Secondly, she can share her master's burden. It's a good plan to kill two birds with one stone. In fact, he had already arrived at Thunderbolt Hall. How could news of City Lord East Spirit reach Thunderbolt Hall faster than his own speed? Wang Tao, Luo Yunling, and Xin Xian had been under his surveillance the entire time. They were watching everyone's reactions when the news reached them. To his relief, Wang Tuo and Shun Xian had a clear conscience. But Luo Yunling, after discussing with Wang Jin, on the one hand, he was testing Wang Jin's intentions. On the other hand, he was secretly making arrangements, preparing to quietly escape. His face was like a peach blossom, but his heart was like a venomous snake. Speak. Wang Chiha, the helmsman, roared at Wang Jin. He was furious. Thunderbolt Hall had originally obtained a talent, but now all his efforts were for naught. Having been in charge of Thunderbolt Hall for a long time, Wang Chiha was no fool. Although Lin Feng had only said a few words, Wang Chiha had already understood 80% of it. Thud! Wang Jin knelt on the ground, cold sweat dripping down. It was rare for him to see his father so enraged. For a moment, his mind was in a mess. Everyone was dumbfounded. Lin Feng waited calmly. Even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. As the young helmsman, Wang Jin naturally would not be punished too severely. However, it was indeed not his fault. The culprit was Luo Yunling. Wang Jin wanted to take the position of junior helmsman, so he had to fight with his younger brother, Wang Ta. However, his talent and aptitude were not as good as Wang Wei's, so he had always been walking on thin ice. Luo Yunling was secretly on Wang Jin's side. She naturally wouldn't allow Wang Tuo to take over a large force. Wang Jin was also unlucky to be implicated by his subordinate for no reason. Power is but a passing cloud. There's no need to be so calculative between two brothers. Lin Feng sighed softly. Wang Jin, who was kneeling on the ground, blushed. Wang Wei finally understood and sighed. Big brother, you think too much. Why would I fight with you? My ambition is on the path of cultivation. Sooner or later, I will enter the Nirvana realm. Father knows this. Wang Jin lowered his head. He bit his lips so hard that they almost bled. He was ashamed. Sigh. The helmsman, Wang Chiha, sighed. In an instant, he looked decades older. His gaze fell on Lin Feng. Wang Chia said, Knife demon, this is my fault for not teaching my son well. It has nothing to do with the Thunderbolt Palace. Helmsman, you are exaggerating. Lin Feng waved his hand and interrupted. Every injustice has its perpetrator. I will not vent my anger on others. Moreover, Brother Wang Tuo and I are friends. However, she cannot be forgiven. Lin Feng looked at Luo Yunling. His eyes were cold. Bang! Domineering aura filled the air as the knife world appeared. Knife heart! Knife world! Wang Chiha and Wang Wei took a deep breath and looked at him with envy. However, a dragon-shaped force pierced their ears. Using his hand as a knife, Lin Feng cleanly killed them. Blood splattered everywhere. With an expressionless face, Lin Feng turned and left. In the empty hall, the tyrannical blade aura still lingered. Wang Jin, who was kneeling on the ground, was pale. Wang Wei looked at Lin Feng's back with reverence in his eyes. Blade demon. So this is the strength of the blade demon. It's really strong, Sai? Wang Chiha wanted to cry. First place on the glorious planet. Second place in the glorious planet battle. Single-handedly annihilated the Nirvana sect. How good would it be if he was from the Thunderbolt Palace? Changyang Mountain City. It was a very ordinary mountain city in the Eastcom continent. No one knew that the famous knife demon Lin Feng came from this small mountain city. Drunken Mountain Manor. The most famous restaurant in Changyang Mountain City was still crowded with people. A cloaked figure slowly entered the restaurant, smelling the fragrance in the restaurant. It was as if he had returned to the time when he first entered the Nirvana planet. Lin Feng closed his eyes. The corner of his mouth curved slightly. The memory was like wine brewing in his heart. It did not dissipate for a long time. Hello, sir. Are you alone? The waiter asked. A private room on the third floor, Lin Feng said. The waiter was stunned. A nirvana coin appeared in Lin Feng's hand out of thin air. The waiter's eyes widened. Lin Feng flicked the 10,000 nirvana coin up. The best private room. All the good wine and dishes will be served. The rest is yours. Whoosh! The waiter's head was filled with blood. The redness spread to the base of his neck. He trembled as he caught the nirvana coin. He staggered and almost fell. Looking at the number 10,000 above, the waiter's chest rose and fell rapidly. He had never even seen a 1,000 nirvana coin in his life, let alone a 10,000 nirvana coin. Not to mention, a reward. How much should he reward? Aren't you going to lead the way? Lin Feng looked at the waiter. Yes, yes, sir. This way, please. The waiter was so excited that he couldn't even finish his sentence. He could feel the heat on his head. His body bent 45 degrees and bowed to lead the way. The corners of his mouth were wide open and his eyes were shining. The best private room, the best wine and dishes didn't even cost half of the nirvana coin. The rest was all for him? Thinking of this, the waiter's heart almost jumped out of his throat. He had met a benefactor on his way out. Lin Feng calmly went upstairs. The smallest nirvana coin he had was 10,000. Besides, to him, there was no difference between 10,000 and 100 million. Walking up to the private room on the second floor, Lin Feng casually glanced downstairs, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously rose. Out of the way! All of you, out of the way! Dong Taifu, who had a bloated body and was wearing a loose brocade robe, was running as fast as he could. His face was full of anxiety as he rushed into the intoxicated mountain house. Sir Dong, the waiter said. Dong Taifu's eyes widened as he grabbed the waiter and asked anxiously, Where is he? The private room on the third floor. The waiter was almost suffocating. Dong, Dong, Dong. Dong Taifu didn't even have time to wipe his sweat. He rushed upstairs. Arriving at the door of the private room, Dong Taifu took a deep breath to calm himself down. He tidied his clothes and gently knocked on the door. A response came from inside. Dong Taifu smiled and pushed the door open. Sir, just as he said those two words, Dong Taifu's smile froze when he saw the young man in the private room. To be continued. Chapter 717. Lin Feng. Dong Taifu was stunned. Long time no see, Master Dong. Lin Feng smiled. Lin Feng didn't have any grudges with Dong Taifu, and his impression of this smooth-talking businessman wasn't bad. Getting along with this kind of person was actually very simple. You didn't need to cater to them. They would either cater to you or treat you like a stranger. What a rare guest, huh? Dong Taifu's expression changed in an instant, and he sat down in front of Lin Feng with a smile. I was wondering which big shot would be so generous. I didn't expect it to be an old friend. Brother Lin Feng, this is your fault. How could I let you spend so much money to come here? Everything you eat and drink today will be on me. Dong Taifu patted his chest. Lin Feng smiled. Dong Taifu was still the same. He hadn't changed at all. With his personality, he would be able to make a name for himself wherever he went. Master Dong is too polite, Lin Feng said. This drunken mountain house has been open for a long time, right? Dong Taifu made a sound of acknowledgement. Brother Lin Feng, are you interested in the drunken mountain house? Lin Feng nodded with a smile. It was easy to talk to an old fox who was good at reading people's expressions. Dong Taifu chuckled. To tell you the truth, the drunken mountain house is a joint venture between me and a few friends. If Brother Lin Feng is interested, I can transfer my share to you. How about it? If I say I want the entire drunken mountain house, do you have a way? Lin Feng took a sip of drunken impermanence. The taste was still as sweet as ever. That, Dong Taifu paused for a moment. That depends on how much confidence Brother Lin Feng has. Lin Feng put down his cup. Master Dong, just name the price. Dong Taifu's eyes narrowed. How about 5 million Nemo coins? Lin Feng filled his cup once more. Coming from the Elemental Commerce Alliance, he naturally knew how much the Drunken Mountain House was worth. Even with a 50% discount, Dong Taifu was still considered to have made a profit. His friends are naturally businessmen. Businessmen talked about profits and gold. If he could earn enough money, selling the Drunken Mountain Manor would only be selling a single item. Master Dong, you should know that the real price of the intoxicated mountain house is around 2 million Nemo dollars. Lin Feng said calmly. Dong Taifu's fat body suddenly trembled, but he still maintained his smile. However, it was a little forced. This is already taking into account the reputation and structure of the Drunken Mountain Manor, staff and so on. Lin Feng said, normally, 3 million Nemo coins is more than enough, but Lin Feng paused for a moment and looked at Dong Taifu, who had an unnatural smile on his face. Since Master Dong is willing to offer such a price, I don't intend to bargain. However, you have to promise me 2 things. Dong Taifu's disappointed expression immediately brightened. He said, Brother Lin, please speak your mind. Lin Feng nodded. First, after the sale of Drunken Mountain Manor, you are not allowed to start another competition. This, Dong Taifu hesitated. Lin Feng ignored Dong Taifu and said coldly, Second, you are still in charge of the external affairs of the Drunken Mountain Manor. Without waiting for Dong Taifu's hesitation, Lin Feng took out a pile of Nemo coins. Here are 10 million Nemo coins, 5 million for the Drunken Mountain Manor, and the other 5 million. If you want to take it, it's yours. Dong Taifu's eyes widened and he smiled. Of course I'll take it. Lin Feng nodded. How long will it take? Dong Taifu nodded and bowed. Soon. Give me 2 hours. No, 1 hour. All right. Drunken Mountain Manor's first floor hall. This is pissing me off. Li Han drank. His hair was a mess, and his complexion wasn't good. Sigh. Senior Brother Li, why are you doing this? Wang Shen shook his head and sighed. Is it worth it to lose the position of Grand Commander for a scum? Worth it. Li Han raised his thick eyebrows. I can't stand this kind of second-generation rich kids who use their power to bully others. What's the big deal about the position of Grand Commander? If I don't want it, then so be it. I'm happy to be free. Wang Shen shook his head. After joining the city guards for almost 10 years, Li Han finally climbed to the position of Grand Commander. However, he was reduced to his original state overnight. Reality was really cruel. He thought of his own situation, but it wasn't much better. Wang Shen was filled with sadness. He also started drinking. 9 out of 10 encounters in life didn't go smoothly. Only when good wine entered one's stomach could one forget everything. At this moment, sirs, there are VIPs inviting you to the private room on the 3rd floor. The waiter smiled and bowed respectfully. Private room on the 3rd floor. Li Han and Wang Shen immediately sobered up. The Drunken Mountain Inn was divided into 3 floors. The hall on the 1st floor, the private rooms on the 2nd floor, and the private rooms on the 3rd floor. The higher one went, the richer one's wealth was. It also represented status and power. There were only a handful of people in Changyang Mountain City who could enter the private rooms on the 3rd floor. They knew such people. Do you know who it is? Wang Shen whispered. The waiter shook his head and said, I don't know. Then what do you know? Li Han asked. The waiter whispered, that man is very generous. Even Master Dong is respectful to him. He has a powerful background. Dong Taifu was respectful to him. Li Han and Wang Shen looked at each other and swallowed their saliva. In the private room on the 3rd floor, Li Han and Wang Shen pushed open the unlocked door in fear. They looked around the room filled with blooming flowers and gold and jade. Their gazes stopped on the only figure. That familiar face and that familiar smile. Li Han and Wang Shen were stunned. Long time no see, Brother Li, Brother Wang. Lin Feng stood up and smiled. Li Han rubbed his eyes, which were a little moist. It's really you often. I didn't see wrongly. That's great. That's great. You're still alive. That's great. He was a little incoherent. Li Han smiled foolishly as he walked closer. Lin Feng opened his arms and gave him a warm hug. Sincere feelings did not need to be said. Lin Feng was filled with gratitude towards Brother Li. Brother Li was the first friend he had made in Changyang Mountain City. Brother Li had brought him to drink and entered the sinister Wind Hall. Memories of the past surfaced in his mind and were engraved in his heart. Wang Shen only met him later and was just an ordinary friend. Have a seat, Brother Li, Brother Wang. Lin Feng was happy to meet them after a long separation. He did not have many friends on Nemo Planet. There were even fewer who were as close to him as Brother Li. Good, good. Li Han was beaming as he sat down with Wang Shun. They naturally had many things to talk about after a long separation. The three of them seemed to have returned to the past. They raised their glasses and drank together happily. Dismissed. Lin Feng was stunned. Sai, don't mention it. Li Han frowned and gulped down the wine. Lin Feng immediately looked at Wang Shun. Brother Li was a little drunk that day and beat up the governor's nephew. Wang Shun sighed softly. In less than 2 days, Brother Li was dismissed from the position of commander on a groundless charge. Li Han snorted. Even if I didn't drink, I would still beat up that son of a bitch. He smashed a stall on the street and molested a good girl. I beat this kind of scumbag every time I see him. Not to mention the governor's nephew. I would beat him even if he was the king of heaven. As he spoke, he picked up the wine pot and drank again. Lin Feng let out a soft, "Oh," and laughed. So that's how it is. Brother Li is still the same. He hates evil. It's because of his character. To be continued. Chapter 718. Not only Li Han, but also Wang Shun's performance this year was not satisfactory. Although he had entered the second district, his age was still there. He was neither too high nor too low. Although he had been practicing hard, he did not have a good heart or a strong background. He was like a poor student who could only study hard, but his aptitude was only above average after all. External conditions were very important. Lin Feng knew very well that if Wang Shun received good training from an early age, he could reach the limit of Zizhou before the age of 30. Even if he became a monk halfway, it would be easy for him to reach the 9th rank of Feudal Week. But if he had to work hard alone, it was unknown whether he could reach the Feudal Week before the age of 30. Brother Wang, you and I are fated to meet. Lin Feng knew Wang Shun's wish. His biggest wish was to become a Feudal Week expert before the age of 30. One day, he could enter the Nirvana world, even if it was just a glimpse. I'll give you 2 choices. As soon as Lin Feng said this, Li Han and Wang Shun were both stunned. Looking at Lin Feng, they suddenly found that the current Lin Feng was completely different from before. He had a unique temperament. Whoosh! Lin Feng raised his hands, and 100 Nemo coins appeared on the table. Li Han and Wang Shun instantly opened their eyes wide and gasped. Each Nemo coin had a denomination of 10,000. Here are 1 million Nemo coins. I believe it's enough for you to fulfill your wish. Lin Feng smiled slightly. For me, Wang Shun was stunned. Li Han's bell-sized eyes stared straight at Lin Feng, unable to return to his senses. Lin Feng nodded. With this money, it was not difficult for Wang Shun to become a Feudal Week expert with his aptitude. His body trembling slightly, Wang Shun swallowed his saliva and suddenly remembered what Lin Feng had just said. He pursed his lips and said, "The second choice." "What is it?" Lin Feng smiled. "The second choice is very simple. I can recommend you to join the Blood Tower, but everything depends on you." Lin Feng's voice fell. Li Han's body trembled again. Wang Shun's face froze for a moment. His chest rose and fell rapidly, and his breathing became rapid. Blood Tower. The legendary Blood Tower. The most mysterious assassin organization among the 5 superpowers. You can think about it carefully, Lin Feng said. No need, Brother Lin. Wang Shun's eyes suddenly sharpened. I want to enter the Blood Tower. Have you thought it through? Lin Feng asked. Wang Shun nodded solemnly. Even if I have 1 million Nemo coins, I'm powerless. Hiding one's strength until the 10th week of pregnancy is already the limit. If someone with ulterior motives were to spy on one's strength, one's wealth would arouse the envy of others. At that time, one's wealth would be exhausted and one's life would be lost. No matter how much money one has, it is not as important as one's strength. I want to join the Blood Tower and give it a try. Even if I fail, I won't regret it. Lin Feng looked at Wang Shun. His fighting spirit and determination could be seen in his eyes. Take it. Lin Feng casually tossed out the red Shui jade and said with a smile, "Take this jade to East Spirit City, Wanqian Pawn Shop, just report my name. After entering the Blood Fog Land, go to Blood Tower number 3 and find Gorin. He will help you." Wang Shun was so excited that his cheeks turned red. He took the red Shui jade as if it was a treasure. It's better to teach a man how to fish than to give him a fish. Lin Feng looked at Li Han and said with a smile, Brotherly, do you want to fish or fish? Lin Feng knew that Brotherly preferred a stable life. After all, he was a man with a family, and he was already over 30 years old. Otherwise, Brotherly wouldn't have become an official and become a city guard in exchange for a stable salary. Li Han was a little confused for a moment. Take this money, Brotherly. In addition, I have a small gift for you. Lin Feng immediately took out bottles of fine wine as if he was performing a magic trick. The rich fragrance of the wine covered the entire room. Li Han's eyes widened as he stared at the 10 bottles of fine wine that suddenly appeared on the table. Guanping Continent wine. This is 9 Crescent Moon wine. Fire Bamboo wine. Li Han touched the bottles of wine as if he had found a treasure. He was obsessed with it. 10 famous wines of the 33 continents. Lin Feng looked at Li Han and smiled. I'm here to see Brotherly. I can't come empty-handed. With that, he waved his right hand, and the 10 bottles of wine worth more than $1 million immediately opened. However, the bottles were not damaged at all. Whoosh, whoosh, the fragrance of the wine assailed their nostrils. It was intoxicating. Li Han exclaimed. His heart ached. This is too wasteful. It's okay, Brotherly. There's a lot more. These are just worldly possessions. Lin Feng picked up the fire bamboo wine and filled Li Han and Wang Shen's cups. The wine was like a flame. When it was poured out, it seemed to be burning. It flashed with a fiery red light. The fragrance was accompanied by the sizzling sound of the flames. Li Han's liquor worm had already rushed out. Come, let's drink all of this wine today. Lin Feng raised his cup. There was a different emotion in his eyes. Today's reunion was also a farewell. Okay, drink. After 3 rounds of wine. At this moment, there was a soft knock on the door. Lin Feng's eyebrows relaxed. Come in. The door was pushed open. The first thing that came into sight was Dong Taifu's plump figure. He had a flattering smile on his face. However, he looked completely different after going out. Behind him was a young man dressed in luxurious brocade clothes. There was a faint shadow between his eyebrows. There were still some bruises on his face. Su. Li Han stood up abruptly. His eyes were wide open. When enemies met, their eyes were especially red. The young man in brocade clothes in front of him was the nephew of the city lord. He was the culprit who caused him to lose his position as the Grand Commander. Wang Shen frowned. He felt that something was wrong. His gaze then fell on Lin Feng. Seeing that he was calm and composed, he felt inexplicably at ease. Bastard Neil. Dong Taifu turned his head, and his expression changed instantly. The young man in brocade clothes, Su, knelt on the ground. Li Han did not expect such a sudden change. Apologize. Dong Taifu shouted angrily. I'm sorry, Master Li. It's all my fault. I won't dare to do it again. Su kowtowed. He did not dare to disobey at all. Dong. For a moment, the sound of kowtowing was heard. Li Han was stunned when he saw the sudden change. Wang Shen looked at the young man in brocade clothes, Su, and then looked at Dong Taifu. Suddenly, his head quivered and he stared at Lin Feng. Vaguely, he seemed to have understood something. Master Dong, what are you doing? Lin Feng put down his wine cup and said indifferently. Dong Taifu hastily said, This Dong just found out that this little brat was using his position to bully others outside. He even tripped Lord Li up. In a fit of anger, I immediately reported to the city lord and had him arrested. As he said that, Dong Taifu said sincerely, Brotherly, don't worry. The city lord is impressed by your righteousness and fearlessness. He specially ordered me to pass on his verbal order. Not only will he be restored to his original position, but he will also be promoted to the position of commander and take charge of all the grand commanders. In addition, the city lord has ordered this little bastard to strictly enforce the law and put him in prison. Effective immediately. As soon as Dong Taifu finished speaking, the young man in brocade clothes, Su, who was kneeling on the ground, turned pale and his body trembled. Li Han was completely stunned. Chapter 719. Commander-in-Chief. One honor. Salary was secondary. The most important thing was power and status. He was in charge of all the commanders and the security of the entire Chongyang Mountain City, including the young man in embroidered clothes. Su's sudden conviction and imprisonment. Everything felt like a dream. "Congratulations, Brother Li," Lin Feng said with a smile. "Senior Brother Li." Wang Shun nudged the stunned Li Han. Li Han suddenly reacted and cupped his fists. "Sorry to trouble you, Master Dong. I am grateful for the city Lord's benevolence for promoting me. I will do my best and will not play favoritism. I will definitely maintain the security of Chongyang Mountain City." Good. Dong Taifu nodded with a smile. Dong Taifu's gaze landed on Lin Feng as he said, "There is nothing else. The three of you can enjoy your meal and let me know if you need anything. I have disturbed you. I will take my leave first." After speaking, Dong Taifu pulled the young man in embroidered clothes, Su, and left. It was as if he had returned from hell to the mortal world and ascended to heaven from the mortal world. To Li Han, it was like ice and fire. He could not believe the twists and turns. He grinned from ear to ear. Offing's return this time brought a lot of good luck. Li Han said happily, "I did not expect to benefit from a disaster. It was really unexpected. God is watching what man does." Lin Feng smiled. "Yes." Wang Shun sighed and glanced at Lin Feng. "Come, congratulations to Brother Li for being promoted to Commander-in-Chief." Lin Feng raised his cup. "I will drink first." Wang Shun also raised his cup. "I don't know when we will meet again after today. Here, I wish Senior Brother Li a bright future." Li Han's eyes lit up. "I wish Junior Brother Wang a safe journey. Come, cheers. It's been a long time," Lin Feng murmured. At the table, Li Han and Wang Shun were already drunk. There was a reason why the top 10 famous wines in the 33 continents were so valuable. Not to mention that they were only Qi Yun stage experts. Even fetus stage experts would get drunk. However, to Lin Feng, wine and poison were no different. He could easily dissolve them. The key was whether he wanted to get drunk or not. "It's been a long time since I've been able to relax so much." Lin Feng revealed a smile. They had been treading on thin ice on Nemo Planet for so long. Now, they could finally take a break and catch their breath. Humans were humans after all. Having emotions and stress for a long time might not be a good thing. A short period of relaxation was to allow him to face greater pressure and walk a longer and further path. "Goodbye, Brother Li, Brother Wang." Lin Feng stood up. Although the two were drunk, their faces were still brimming with smiles. To them, at this moment, he was drunk with happiness. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Then he left. The next day, "Senior Brother Li, wake up." Wang Shun's eyes were hazy with sleep. "Oh." Li Han rubbed his eyes and slowly woke up. The two of them exchanged glances as their memories gradually returned. "We aren't dreaming, right?" Wang Shun asked. "Of course not." Li Han looked at the messy table. The 10 bottles of fine wine were already empty. His heart ached. The 10 most famous wines of the 33 continents were wasted by us in one night. If we drink a cup every day, we can drink for at least a year. Wang Shun's gaze suddenly fell on the right corner. He was startled. "Senior Brother Li, look." Following the direction of Wang Shun's finger, Li Han saw that the floor was filled with over 100 bottles of the 10 famous wines. Blinking his eyes, he shook his head. "Am I still hungover?" Rubbing his eyes, Li Han took a deep breath. "Oh my God! 100 bottles of the 10 most famous wines. How much did that cost?" Wang Shun trembled. "At least 10 million Emo coins," Li Han said. "I thought Offing was joking yesterday." "It's true," Wang Shun murmured. Li Han looked at Wang Shun. "Junior Brother Wang, don't you think it's a little strange?" Wang Shun sighed. "It's not just strange. Brother Lin is completely different this time." Whoosh. The door opened, and a man in fine clothes with a smile on his face walked in. He bowed slightly. "Lord Li, you're awake." "Steward he." Li Han nodded. He recognized the man in fine clothes in front of him. He was in charge of the affairs of the drunken mountain manor. Li Han was stunned. "What did you just call me, Steward he?" All this time, Steward he had been calling him Lord Li. Did he hear it wrong? "Lord Li," Steward he smiled. Li Han heard it clearly this time. "Why are you suddenly calling me that?" "Lord Li, you must be joking." Steward, he said respectfully. The entire drunken mountain manor belongs to you, Lord Li. Of course, we have to address you respectfully. The entire drunken mountain manor belongs to me. Li Han looked at Wang Shun blankly. Wang Shun smiled bitterly. Ha ha ha. Hearty laughter sounded from outside. Dong Taifu's bloated figure stepped into the private room. Congratulations, Lord Li. Congratulations. Lord Dong, Li Han said. Dong Taifu raised a hand. Lord Li, you're too kind. Don't be a stranger. Call me Brother Dong from now on. Brother Dong. Li Han was stunned. Dong Taifu patted Li Han's shoulder and took out a contract. Brother Li, you can complete the formalities by pressing your fingerprint. From now on, the Drunken Mountain Manor will be your private property. This, Li Han said suspiciously. What's going on? Dong Taifu looked at him enviously. Brother Li, you've met a benefactor. These are a gift from Lord Lin to you. Lord Lin? Often? Li Han was surprised. Dong Taifu nodded. To be honest, I only found out about Lord Lin's identity later. The city lord was so scared that he hid. He couldn't wait to kill that bastard Su Su. Looking at Li Han and Wang Shun, Dong Taifu smiled bitterly. You may still be confused, but you'll understand soon. Li Han and Wang Shun stared at Dong Taifu. Blade Demon. He's Blade Demon Lin Feng. Dong Taifu's voice wasn't loud, but it made a sound. Clang. Li Han and Wang Shun felt as if a heavy weight was pressing down on their hearts. Their eyes widened in shock and horror. Blade Demon Lin Feng. How domineering and awe-inspiring. The most terrifying expert in the 33 continents, the top of the glorious star list, the super existence that uprooted the god Nirvana sect. Often, he is Blade Demon Lin Feng. Li Han was shocked. No wonder, no wonder. Wang Shin muttered to himself. Yes, it's him. Dong Taifu nodded heavily. In an instant, Li Han understood. He thought the city lord had found his conscience. He didn't expect it to be because of Lin Feng. Brother Li, don't be too sad. If I come back in the future, I'll bring you a room full of good wine. Maybe one day, I'll be able to hear Offing's name in Changyang Mountain City. That would be awesome. I can show off everywhere. This is my brother, the good brother that I drank with and didn't go home until we were drunk. Ha ha. The words they said when they parted on that day appeared in his mind. Looking into the distance, Li Han seemed to see Lin Feng's figure. A trace of gratification appeared in his eyes. Ah Feng, you've already become an amazing person. Chapter 720. Lin Feng went to the Wicked Wind Hall. He went back to the place where he used to live and saw Kai and I, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. She became more graceful and energetic. He didn't disturb Kai Ni's life. It was not a bad thing for her to live a peaceful life. Lin Feng didn't hate the Wicked Wind Hall, so he wouldn't miss it. After leaving Changyang Mountain City, Lin Feng went to the Green Sword tribe. Lu Ning's tribe, was the first human friend he made on the Nemo planet. The Green Sword tribe left a good impression on Lin Feng. Before leaving, Lin Feng wanted to go to the Green Sword tribe to see where Brother Lu's tribe was and what they looked like. Green Sword tribe? I'm not sure. About 10,000 miles east from here. With the road in his mouth, Lin Feng asked as they walked. He felt the energy of heaven and earth along the way, trying to merge the dark void, holy chi, and rainbow, holy chi, in his body to relax his mind. With the speed, 10,000 miles didn't take him long. In the blink of an eye, I feel a weak aura energy. Lin Feng smiled. His figure rose and fell a few times and disappeared in an instant. Deep in a valley. Usually, the tribe's location was very hidden. After all, they had to worry about beasts, demons, and other tribes. However, no matter how hidden they were, they couldn't hide in front of Lin Feng, who was a talented soul son at the limit of a week. Whoosh! Lin Feng flashed and entered the tribe. Whoosh! 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 Numerous gazes were cast over. They were shocked, vigilant, and filled with hostility. Who are you? Tell me. How did you get in? Beep. The whistle sounded, and the entire tribe was in chaos. Looking at the people in front of him, Lin Feng was surprised. He glanced at their waists and didn't see a scabbard. He immediately understood. he was in the wrong place. The Green Sword tribe was famous for their swordsmanship. Everyone in the tribe practiced swordsmanship, but the people in front of him were all burly and fierce. Just by looking at their bony muscles, one could tell that they practiced fist techniques. Sorry, I thought you were from the Green Sword tribe. Green Sword tribe? What? Green Sword tribe? It's a spy. Quick, let's catch him together. It would have been better if Lin Feng hadn't opened his mouth, but the moment he did, it caused a huge commotion. All of a sudden, the whistles rose and fell one after another. The sound of the whistle went straight up to the sky. The murderous aura surged as the muscular clansman roared and rushed towards Lin Feng. For a moment, Lin Feng felt a little strange. With a casual wave of his hand, he sent the surrounding clansmen flying with a bang. Many pairs of shocked and frightened gazes were cast over. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. You are from the Wuqi race? That damned Green Sword clan. How dare they ask for help? Damn it, he actually made the first move. Quickly report this to the patriarch. The entire race was in a state of panic. Lin Feng's casual move shook the entire Wuqi tribe. It was a mistake to hit the passenger car. Lin Feng chuckled. This was the Wuqi clan that Lu Ning had mentioned to him before. The clan leader was an elite of the Fetus Week and had always planned to annex the Green Sword clan to strengthen the clan's power. This was understandable to the Wuqi clan. After all, every clan couldn't be soft-hearted if they wanted to develop and strengthen themselves. Behind their success, there would always be corpses everywhere. However, since he had bumped into them, I'll give the Green Sword clan a greeting gift. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He wasn't a kind person either. Blade demon. Since he was a demon, he didn't care. Everything was fine as long as he could get past his own hurdle. Green Sword clan, are you ready? Patriarch Lu Li shouted. We are ready. Let's fight it out with those bastards. I'd rather die in glory than live in dishonor. The Green Sword clan was full of vigor. They raised their arms and cheered loudly. Their faces were full of fighting spirit. Although they weren't strong enough, they weren't afraid at all. Standing next to the patriarch was a green figure. Lu Ning. Ninger, how confident are you? Lu Li asked in a deep voice. Lu Ning pursed his lips. Lu Ning gritted his teeth. Whether we win or lose, we'll fight to the end. Lu Li sighed softly in his heart. Lu Ning's words were enough to explain everything. That was, they had no chance of winning. The Wuqi clan was already astonishingly strong. This time, they had even invited an expert from the Zizhou clan. They were determined to raze the Green Sword clan to the ground. Although Lu Ning's strength had increased, she was still only in the womb. Strange. The Wuqi clan should have attacked by now. Why hasn't the scout reported back? Lu Li wondered. Maybe he's dead. Lu Ning frowned. Lu Li nodded. He was about to speak when something flashed in front of him. He widened his eyes and looked into the distance. He saw a figure in martial attire slowly walking over. However, he didn't even know when the other party had entered. Was it an illusion? Or, oh no. Lu Li's expression changed drastically. Could he be the Zizhou clan expert that the Wuqi clan had invited? Lord Lin Feng. Lu Ning was stunned. Lu Li and the other Green Sword clan members were stunned. Lu Ning was pleasantly surprised. She took 2 steps forward and flashed over. She bowed respectfully in front of the young martial artist. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Everyone from the Green Sword clan widened their eyes. Lu Ning, their young patriarch, a Zizhou clan expert who could fight to a draw with the patriarch of the Wuqi clan, was actually so respectful to this young martial artist. Who was he? This question also appeared in Patriarch Lu Li's mind. Father, let me introduce him to you. Lu Ning's eyes were filled with excitement. He's the lord that I've often mentioned to you. He's my benefactor and is a good brother to my elder brother. He's the super expert that has shaken the 33 continents and destroyed the Nirvana divine sect. He's Blade Demon Lin Feng, Lord Lin Feng. Blade Demon Lin Feng. Lu Li's legs went soft, and he almost fell to his knees. On the other side, the clansmen of the Green Sword clan were not as calm. They were all dumbstruck and exclaimed in shock. Blade Demon Lin Feng. Who didn't know him? Who didn't know him? Patriarch, Lin Feng said softly. He looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and sighed inwardly. He was very similar to Lu Yi. Lord Lin. Lu Li came back to his senses and hurriedly bowed. However, he encountered a resistance and couldn't bend his body. Patriarch, there's no need for that. Brother Lu Yi and I are like brothers. I should have come to visit you long ago, but I couldn't find the time. I hope Patriarch doesn't blame me, Lin Feng said. No, of course not. Lu Li smiled foolishly and his spine stiffened. He suddenly realized that the Wuqi clan was nothing. With Blade Demon Lin Feng here, he didn't need to be afraid, even if the Heavenly Emperor came. Patriarch this. Lin Feng glanced at everyone. It's nothing. Lu Li chuckled. Lord Lin, this way please. Lin Feng nodded. All right, Patriarch. Lin Feng thought of something. I came in a hurry and didn't bring any greeting gifts. I happened to pass by the Wuqi clan, so... Lin Feng turned his head. Lu Ning, take some people to the Wuqi clan and follow them. Lu Li's eyes lit up. How could he not understand Lin Feng's meaning? Ning, or what are you waiting for? Lu Li said. Yes, yes. Lu Ning said excitedly. Chapter 721. So, it was captured by the demon clan. No wonder, no wonder. Lu Li's tone was a little desolate. Although Lu Ning had mentioned it before, it was a different feeling to hear it from Lin Feng. Lu Li had always nurtured his eldest son, Lu Yi. He was meticulous, enthusiastic, and talented. He was the best candidate to take over the position. Although Lu Ning was talented, her personality was lacking compared to Lu Yi's. It's a pity. Lin Feng sighed. He was grateful to Lu Yi, but the heavens were jealous of his talent. If he knew that Lord Lin always remembers him, he would be very happy. Lu Li said, thanks to Lord Lin's help, our Green Sword tribe could avoid this disaster. You're too kind, tribe leader. It's nothing. Lin Feng smiled. Lu Li shook his head. It's nothing to Lord Lin, but it's a disaster for our tribe. As he spoke, he bowed deeply. Here, I thank Lord Lin on behalf of the 375 clansmen. Thank you for saving our lives. This time, Lin Feng didn't stop him, because tribe leader Lu was a sentimental person, like father, like son, and vice versa. Tribe leader, what are your plans for the future? Lin Feng asked. I'll take it one step at a time. Our Green Sword tribe encountered a great disaster during our ancestors' time. Our population has been reduced by 90%. Now, we're not as strong as before. Lu Li sighed. Lin Feng understood. Indeed, with the Green Sword tribe's talent, there was no reason for their tribe to be so small. Tribe leader, have you ever thought of moving into a city? Lin Feng asked. Lu Li smiled bitterly. It's easier said than done. We have 375 people. Just finding a place to live is a big problem. Feeding them is another big problem. Moreover, every city has strict regulations. There's a limit to the number of people who can be registered. Even if we enter the city, we'll have to face the oppression of other families. Even if I want to, I'm powerless. Lu Li sighed. Lin Feng nodded. Lu Li's words were very realistic. How about this, tribe leader Lu? Why don't we head to Chongyang Mountain City, which is slightly further away? Lin Feng said, although it's not as good as first-tier cities like East Spirit City, it's relatively easier to take root here. When you enter the city, report my name to President Li Han. He will help you arrange everything and clear all obstacles. Commander-in-Chief. Lu Li's eyes lit up. Lin Feng nodded, then took out a pile of Nemo coins and placed them on the table. The shiny Nemo coins stunned Lu Li. Each coin was worth 10,000, and there were thousands of them. Here's 30 million Nemo coins, a small token of my appreciation. Lin Feng said softly, Patriarch Lu, after you've settled your people, you can use this money to buy some shops and arrange for your clansmen to work. Although you won't be rich, I believe that living in peace and contentment shouldn't be a problem. Lin Feng was not worried about Li Han. After becoming the commander, he was considered to be of great importance in Chongyang Mountain City. The only thing that was lacking was the fact that he was all by himself. However, with the Green Sword clan as his backing, they could rely on each other and work together better. Here, this. Lu Li's hands trembled, and his old face turned red. He wanted to refuse, but he couldn't say it, because this was to him, to the entire clan that was on the verge of collapse. It was too important. Patriarch, there's no need to be modest. Lin Feng naturally understood Lu Li. This is a small token of my appreciation for Brother Lu Yi. I think his greatest wish is the clan. I hope he can rest in peace in the underworld. Lin Feng sighed. Lu Li grunted, stood up, and bowed deeply. Lord Lin, I thank you on behalf of my son. Lin Feng smiled slightly. A gift of roses, a lingering fragrance in his hand. Green Sword Clan. Outside the Patriarch's house, a large number of clansmen gathered. There were both men and women. Their eyes were filled with curiosity and unpredictability as they looked around from time to time. Whispers of discussion rose and fell one after another, continuous and unending. The rumored ruthless saber demon is so young. Yes, he's not scary at all. He feels like a spring breeze and is very approachable. Moreover, he seems to have a good relationship with the young patriarch. Moreover, he's very handsome and has a unique temperament. The clan's customs were simple and honest. Their likes and dislikes were all written on their faces. The youths of the Green Sword Clan naturally revered the invincible saber demon, whose name was known throughout the 33 continents. The young ladies' eyes were filled with love, and their hearts were beating wildly. The Green Sword Clan's clansmen who were preparing to fight were very relieved. As long as Saber Demon Lin Feng was around, the Green Sword Clan would be safe. The Wuchi clan? They couldn't wait for them to come. At this moment, whoosh, 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 neat green figures whizzed over from outside the mountain. All of them had smiles on their faces, and they were incomparably excited. The leader was the young patriarch, Lu Ning. He held a head high in his hand and shouted, "Brothers, the Wuchi clan has perished. Patriarch Wu Gu and the experts of the Wuchi clan have been killed by Lord Saber Demon. We don't have to be afraid anymore. Let's cheer to our heart's content." There was a sonorous sound when the head landed. In an instant, loud cheers erupted from the clan. The clansmen's faces were brimming with cheerful smiles. For the past few days, they had been living in fear every single day. Saber Demon, Saber Demon, Saber Demon. The orderly cheers seemed to shatter the sky. Everyone's eyes shone brightly, and their faces were flushed red. Even the children were cheering and celebrating with their childish voices. They could feel it even if they didn't understand. Lin Feng and Patriarch Lu Li walked out. Lin Feng's heart was filled with warmth as he looked at the excited crowd. Perhaps he had only done something insignificant, but to the entire Green Sword clan, it was a great merit. "Stop, Patriarch!" Lu Li shouted. His voice was loud and full of prestige. Instantly, everyone stopped and looked over with expectant eyes. "I have a piece of good news to tell everyone." Lu Li looked at Lin Feng and said heartily, "Everyone, go back and pack up now. Lord Lin will provide us with money and effort. We will be able to leave this place in 3 days. We will move our clan and settle down in Chongyang Mountain City." There was silence, but in the next moment, thunderous cheers erupted. Everyone was brimming with happiness and excitement. They hugged each other as if they had gone crazy. This meant that they could bid farewell to their precarious days and start a new chapter for their clan. Lord Lin. Lu Ning walked forward, her face flushed. "You don't have to thank me." Lin Feng looked at Lu Ning and said softly, "Carry on your elder brother's dying wish and protect the clan well. This is all I can help you with." "Yes, Lord Lin." Lu Ning nodded heavily. Lin Feng smiled. He didn't stay any longer. He leaped up and went straight into the sky. The excited and joyful voices of the Green Sword clan still lingered in his ears. They were sincerely grateful. Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile. His figure disappeared in a flash and went straight to his next destination, Magic City, Wayna. To be continued. Chapter 722. Shanghai Wayner. Want to read 1K and SA2? This was a place that was engraved in Lin Feng's heart. Here, he had experienced the cruelest training on the Nemo star and had seen the real devil race. Although he managed to escape in the end, he had lost a layer of skin. At that time, he had not only been hit by the soul-locking nail, but had also been implanted with the true eye contract by which Yinzi's left purple pupil. Now, half of the 3-year agreement had passed, and he had also become the current saber demon from an insignificant human martial artist in the Cyclone stage. He wanted to see left Z Tong again. Even though his strength was still inferior to hers, deep in his heart, he still wanted to see her again. He wanted to see how strong she was with his own eyes. Right now, his strength was far from hers. How far was it? 3 years later. I will definitely win the true eye contract. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Now that his strength had increased by leaps and bounds, he was no longer at a loss as he was back then. Shanghai Weiner. I want to read a book. Wanyangsha, the largest fiend castle in the East Com continent, was more than 10 times larger than East Spirit City. Unlike humans, the demon race was more concentrated and had more experts. However, Lin Feng was not afraid. His current strength was enough to touch the scales of the demons. Compared to the Green Sword clan, the magic city of Weiner, which was hidden in the deepest part of the East Com continent, was much easier to find. Because Lin Feng himself cultivated the Tao of darkness, he could clearly sense the dark energy. As long as he followed the direction where the dark energy was denser, he would definitely not be wrong. Very soon Lin Feng found the right path. Chi! The saber in his hand descended, and the 2 Earth Demon Masters were directly killed, turning into 2 Earth Demon cores. Over here, the sky was completely covered by a black haze. More and more demon powerhouses appeared, but without exception, they were all turned into demon cores and killed. Lin Feng was merciless. He had no pity for the demons, and his heart was even colder toward Mo Du Wei Na. He would never forget the month he spent in the water prison. Boom! Hake Tong was like a fish in water. Books to read, 1K8SHU here. The demon race did not have the slightest advantage, because Lin Feng himself was like a demon. Darkness Holy Chi, 7 limits, dark elemental heavenly saint weapon, and powerful physical strength. Lin Feng was not inferior to a true demon. There were more and more devil race powerhouses ahead, but Lin Feng's attacks were becoming more and more efficient. A devil race squadron led by a black underworld earth devil was killed with a single slash. One batch after another. The news of Lin Feng's appearance had obviously alarmed Shanghai Weina. A large number of devil race experts rushed out. He wanted to kill this overconfident human, but the result was just the opposite. Lin Feng was still standing tall despite the waves crashing over. The Demon Sea tactic was completely useless. After more than 10,000 casualties, the demon race powerhouses chose to retreat. This was because Lin Feng had even killed 3 Sky Fiend experts. It was too terrifying. The name of Lin Feng Saber Demon also began to spread in Shanghai. He moved forward at a moderate pace. After spending 2 days, Lin Feng arrived at Shanghai Weina. Compared to the first day, there was a lot of fighting. He wanted to see the flames of war rising to the sky. The next day, the wind was calm and the waves were calm. Even a few kittens could not be seen. Looking at the majestic devil race castle in front of him, shrouded in dark fog, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He had once stayed in there for a full 2 months. However, he did not know how he entered or how he came out. He still did not know. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. One after another, hideous and terrifying devil race figures appeared on the castle. The weakest were Earth Devil Lords, and most of them were black underworld Earth Devils. There were also many Sky Fiend experts standing there. There were at least hundreds of thousands of devil race auras, and their formation was vast. The city gates were tightly shut, and the devil race's aura surged. Pairs of devil eyes looked over. Vigilance and fear. Lin Feng stood there calmly. He faced hundreds of thousands of devil race experts alone without any fear. Saber Demon Lin Feng. What is the meaning of this? A thunderous roar resounded. A Sky Fiend expert in black armor above the castle roared angrily. Lin Feng looked over and instantly locked onto him. A pair of purple eyes. He was a purple-eyed devil. However, this black-armored Sky Fiend had a sturdy back and a bear-like waist. His muscles were ferocious, and he was strong and tall. He cultivated a demon core, not a demon heart. I want to read a book. 1K 122. You are the city lord of Shanghai Wei Na. Zuiyan. Lin Feng looked straight at the black-armored sky fiend. He had heard of Zuiyan's name when he first entered Wei Na, but this was the first time he had met him. Oomph. Zuiyan snorted. Insolent human. You are breaking the consensus between devils and humans. Of course not, Lin Feng said. In the 33 continents, humans and devils had a consensus. They could fight however they wanted in the wildlands, but humans could not attack Shanghai Wei Na, and devils would not attack human cities. This was a consensus. Lin Feng naturally did not want to break this consensus and cause great suffering. Yin said angrily, "Then why did you kill more than 10,000 devils?" Lin Feng smiled indifferently. City Lord Zhua, you're wrong. It was your demon race who attacked first. Don't tell me you want me to surrender without a fight? What a joke. The last two words were said with true dragon saint power, which shook the hearts of the devil race experts. Zuiyan's forehead was exposed as he gritted his teeth. Then why are you here? You are not welcome here. Zuiyan suppressed his anger. Not welcome? Lin Feng smiled. Why didn't you say that when you took me into Shanghai Wei Na? Zuiyan was stunned. The devil race experts were also stunned. Lin Feng looked at Zuiyan. I am here to find Zhua Zitong. There was an uproar. Zitong? Zuiyan frowned. Yes. Lin Feng's eyes sharpened. Where is she? Why didn't she come out? He did not feel Zhua Zitong's aura. Zuiyan's face darkened. Zitong left a year ago. Left? To the Nirvana world? Lin Feng asked. Of course. Zitong should have entered the Nirvana world 3 years ago. Zuiyan shot a disdainful glance at Lin Feng. Human blade demon, don't think you're that strong. Number 1 on the glorious star list. Humph. My demon clan's number 1 on the devil star list. Chi Hong couldn't even make one move against Zitong. Even Zitong from 3 years ago was able to defeat you. Zuiyan's words fell like a bomb. Lin Feng looked calm. He had already expected Zhua Zitong's strength. How strong is she now? Lin Feng suddenly asked. Zuiyan glanced at him. I only need one attack to kill you. Lin Feng looked at Zuiyan. You don't believe me? Zuiyan sneered. Zitong was born with purple eyes. Bloodline awakening is rare in the purple-eyed devil race. Not only that, Zitong was born smart. Her bloodline awakened a second time when she was 10 years old. Second bloodline awakening. Lin Feng remembered clearly that Zhua Zitong's eyes were light purple. The first bloodline awakening of the purple-eyed devil race had purple eyes. The second bloodline awakening was light purple. Zuiyan was not lying. If she had not accompanied her mother, Zitong would have entered the Nirvana world 3 years ago. Zuiyan said proudly, You humans are only in the Nirvana realm when you enter the Nirvana world. But let me tell you, Zitong was already a great sky demon 3 years ago. Now, at least a primordial sky demon. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. Primordial sky demon. Chapter 723. Very far away. Human Nirvana experts were divided into Nirvana, Sainthood, and Nirvana levels. The corresponding levels of demons were Sky Demon, Great Sky Demon, and Primordial Sky Demon. For example, Chi-Yu, the Great Sky Demon who fought with senior brother Xinyuan on Earth, and Chi-Wan, whose memory he devoured, was a Primordial Sky Demon. Lef Zitong was most likely a Primordial Sky Demon. I'm still far behind. Lin Feng knew that he could not compare to Lef Zitong after 2 bloodline awakenings. The more bloodline awakenings, the closer she was to the first generation of humans and demons. That was the existence of a true god. You want to compete with Zitong? Go home and look in a mirror, boy, Zuiyan said arrogantly. The other demon experts all laughed. Lin Feng was calm. Left Zitong's strength was expected, but it did not mean he would admit defeat. A year and a half ago, the gap between them was even bigger, but now it was much smaller. Even though he was still at the limit of Zizhou, his battle power was comparable to top human Nirvana experts, or even weak sainthood experts. No one could predict what would happen in a year and a half. However, it was true that it was harder to become stronger. Even though they were both primordial heavenly devils, Left purple pupil was likely to be stronger than ordinary devils. To win against left Z Tong, I must be stronger than Chi Wan. Lin Feng had a clear goal. Chi Wan, who lived in his memory, was a good comparison. He could know the gap between him and a primordial sky demon. For now, the gap was still very big. Is City Lords interested in a deal? Lin Feng asked suddenly. Zui Yin was stunned. He was surprised by Lin Feng's quick change. A second ago, they were still hostile to each other, but the next second, they were talking about business. Humans changed so quickly that Zui Yin could not wrap his head around it. However, he responded subconsciously, "What's the deal?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I have a large number of beast corpses, from level 1 to level 9, and many sky demon corpses." Boom! A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. The eyes of the earth demon experts on the castle glowed. The most important thing in the demon race was bloodline. Sky demons usually had high-level bloodlines. Beast corpses had powerful energy in their flesh and bones. It could help them strengthen their bodies and rapidly increase their strength. In essence, the demon race was completely capable of devouring the flesh and blood of powerhouses to improve themselves. The premise was that there was an endless supply. Good. Zui Yan's eyes shone brightly. There were no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. Although Lin Feng had a little hatred for Mo Du Wei Na in his heart, it had already faded after slaughtering the 10,000 demons. The demon race and the human race were like fire and water, so it was understandable that they were enemies. Compared to them, Lin Feng hated humans who fought against their own kind even more. At least, the demons were more open and aboveboard. Aren't you afraid that I'll spread the news and ruin your reputation? The heavy armor on Zui Yan's shoulders creaked as he sat down. His body was more than 10 times larger than Lin Feng's, making him look like a giant. However, strength was never determined by the size of one's body. Behind Zui Yan stood 8 heavenly demons of the same size. It was clear that they wanted to use their auras to oppress them. However, things did not go as planned. I'm already notorious. What's the harm in adding another crime of trading with the demon race? Lin Feng smiled. The name Blade Demon had already spread throughout the 33 continents. Although he was famous for his strength, the word demon was enough to prove it. He had destroyed one of the leaders of the righteous path, the Nirvana sect. He had long been classified as evil. Moreover, even if he spread the news, so what if there was no evidence? By then, his people would already be in the Nirvana realm. You've got guts. Zui Yan arched his left leg and crossed his scaly arm. He said casually, "Take it out." The other 8 heavenly demons behind him glared at him, their auras imposing. Lin Feng said calmly, "City Lords seems to have misunderstood something. The initiative of today's transaction is in my hands. It's not about what I have, but..." Lin Feng paused. He looked at Zui Yan with bright eyes and smiled. "Let's see what you have." Bang! Bang! The 8 heavenly demons behind him were instantly enraged. Their aura swelled and was about to explode. Hua! Lin Feng remained seated. His blade world spread out in an instant. It was awe-inspiring and domineering. Even though the demons were surrounding him, he remained unmoving like a mountain. His entire body was filled with a majestic blade concept. Anyone who dared to touch him would be stabbed by 10,000 blades. Zui Yan's eyes shone coldly. Is Blade Demon purposely showing off? Lin Feng smiled. I'm just a mere mortal. Since I'm in the demon castle, I naturally have to protect myself first. Zui Yan gritted his teeth and snorted. He clearly did not agree. However, their previous plan had already failed. Facing such a tyrannical opponent, they had nothing but numbers. If they really fought, they would only lose. As the city lord, Zui Yan was not an ordinary person. He had already judged the situation. City Lord Zua, I think we don't need to waste time. Lin Feng said. He raised his hands. Immediately, complete corpses of ferocious beasts appeared in the huge demon castle. There were corpses ranging from rank 1 to rank 9. Without exception, all of them had blade wounds. Lin Feng's eyes were sharp. He would not act until he saw a rabbit. The demon clan was unyielding and could not be stubbornly resisted. As the saying went, one had to give a date for a slap. Swoosh! 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 The eyes of the sky fiends lit up. Zuiyan's eyes were filled with excitement. These ferocious beast corpses might not be of much use to sky fiends, but they were absolute treasures to Earth demon Xianming. Zuiyan's gaze landed on the largest dinosaur ferocious beast. His breathing quickened. If he was not wrong, a rank 9 ferocious beast. There were also deep blade wounds on its body. Zuiyan looked at Lin Feng and felt a little apprehensive. Lin Feng smiled at Zuiyan. Their eyes met as they engaged in a secret battle. Lin Feng had absolute experience in this aspect, as he was once in charge of Earth's largest elemental merchant alliance. He could not show weakness, nor could he blindly be tyrannical. This is only 1%. Lin Feng went straight to the point, giving Zuiyan and the other Sky Fiend a shock. 1%. There were more than a dozen ferocious beasts here. In other words, you have more than 1,000 ferocious beasts? Zuiyan finally could not sit still. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. And half of them are dark-type, ferocious beasts. Clang! Zuiyan's huge body trembled. Dark-type ferocious beasts were undoubtedly the most suitable for the demon clan. There are many types of ferocious beasts. Normally, dark-type ferocious beasts would only make up about 10%, or at most 20%. But to have 50%, that was too exaggerated. Saber Fiend, don't you try to trick me. Zuiyan's eyes burned as his breathing quickened. Of course not. I have always been honest with people when doing business, and the same goes for demons. Lin Feng said, of course, if city lords cannot afford the price, I can only look for other demon castellans, such as Huangmang of Fiend City. How dare you? Zuiyan slammed the table and stood up. Chapter 724. Mo Du Bayan was the demon castle in the East Peace continent, second only to Mo Du Wiener. However, compared to Mo Du Wiener, Mo Du Bayan was much inferior in number and strength. It was close to the Fa Grand Canyon, and City Lord Huangmang was also a heavenly demon. Blood Tower's information might not be as detailed as 8 Trigrams palaces, but they knew everything in the 33 continents like the back of their hand. Lin Feng knew that Zuiyan and Huangmang were sworn enemies. If he sold these beasts to Huangmang, at least dozens of heavenly demons and countless Xianming earth demons would be added. It would be a huge disaster for Mo Du Wiener. Humans could not escape from competition. Survival of the fittest was the same for the demons. Huff, huff. Zuiyan breathed out through his nostrils, and his purple eyes were filled with anger. However, Lin Feng was as steady as Mount Tai. Strength was always the strongest weight. Wiener is definitely richer than Mo Du. Zuiyan suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, we have what they have, and we also have what they don't have. Lin Feng smiled faintly. So, I choose to trade with you now. Okay. Zuiyan gritted his teeth. He didn't have many ways to deal with the cunning humans who had always been good at doing business. Other humans could often threaten and intimidate at the same time, but this saber demon in front of him was as steady as a rock. Follow me. Zuiyan stood up with a sullen face, and his huge body shook the earth. Okay, Lin Feng answered. He knew that this deal was already half successful. The rest was a question of how much to earn. The demons and humans had a long history of trading. After all, in the 33 continents, humans and demons were in a delicate state. They basically touched each other a little and didn't touch the minefield. Humans had many things that the demons needed, such as demon beast flesh, inner cores, demon cores, and so on. These were not important to humans. However, they were quite useful to the demons. The demons also had many things that humans needed, such as Saint Crystal Spirit fruits, heavenly treasures, metal minerals, and so on. These were often useless to the demons. If there was a need, there would naturally be transactions, and there would be people who would take risks. Do you want Saint Crystals? They're not of much use to me. What about spirit fruits? I want Saint fruits. These metals and ores are good. They can be used to forge holy treasures, armors, and weapons. No finished products. Along the way, Zuiyan's expression became more and more unsightly. The saber demon in front of him seemed to be interested in everything, but at the same time, he was not interested in anything. Every time he asked a few questions, he would not say anything. It was unknown what he was thinking. The human cultivators he came into contact with on a daily basis would all scramble for these Saint Crystal spirit fruits, but Yang Kai was not interested in them at all. However, Zui Yin also understood that with his opponent's current strength, those things would not be of much use. City Lord Zua, you can't be thinking of using these cheap goods to fob me off, right? Lin Feng suddenly opened his mouth. Come with me. Zui Yin gritted his teeth, his veins bulging. Lin Feng smiled. They entered a heavily guarded treasure vault. Oh, this time, he said. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. There were heaven-rank holy treasures hanging everywhere. There were mid-grade and low-grade holy treasures. There were all kinds of weapons, and there were many strange objects that even he had never seen before. Metals lined up one by one. These were natural treasures formed from the natural fortune of heaven and earth. Their fragrance wafted through the air. Lin Feng walked forward and picked up a small brocade box. It was covered with a layer of silk that was 10 centimeters long. Above the silk was a medicinal pill that contained the energy of water. He glanced around and saw dozens of brocade boxes on the table. The medicinal pills were all placed differently. Walking to the other side, there were a few shelves full of secret manuals made of precious materials. Lin Feng casually took out one of them. On the top of the book was the Human Language Book of Glorious Light. First grade Holy Chi of Light. Lin Feng flipped through it casually and put the Book of Glorious Light back on the bookshelf. There was no need to ask. These must have been obtained from human cultivators. The vast majority of demons were unable to open the storage rings of humans, but MOG, who cultivated the demon heart system, could. Mental cultivation methods, secret manuals of profound meaning, medicinal pills, and holy treasures. These finished products could not belong to demons. How about these? Zui Yin held his head high. Lin Feng turned his head and met Zui Yan's eyes. He smiled confidently. The corpses of vicious beasts and demon cores of heavenly demons are all items of the Nirvana realm, right? Zui Yin nodded hesitantly. But these are only items below the Nirvana realm. No matter how many stones there are, they're just a pile of stones. Lin Feng shook his head. If you plan to use these to trade, then we have nothing to talk about. You don't even have the basic sincerity. Then, just as Zui Yin was at a loss, Lin Feng turned and left. Wait. Zui Yin suddenly came back to his senses. His tiger-like eyes were filled with complicated emotions. There are other things. Lin Feng stopped. This is the best treasure trove in the magic city of Wayna. My daughter, Zitong, personally organized them. They are all treasures of the 33 continents. Zui Yan's expression was gloomy. Lin Feng raised his hand to interrupt him. You and I both know that the so-called treasures of the 33 continents are just ordinary goods in the Nirvana realm. Picking up a yellow sword, Lin Feng said, take this high-grade heavenly saint weapon, for example. The treasure refining sect can already make it. As long as there are enough materials, they can make it. Then, Lin Feng took out Heitong. Zui Yan's eyes lit up. Do you have any heavenly saint weapon here that can compare to this? Lin Feng asked. Zui Yan shook his head. Lin Feng smiled and put away Heitong. This kind of trick was very common in the business world on Earth, but it was very suitable here. There was no need to say more, because it would only reveal flaws. Lin Feng then walked to the bookshelf. Even though he had already caught a glimpse of many priceless holy fruits, there was no need to show it now, even if he was interested. Picking up a secret manual, Lin Feng was surprised. It was the manic mantra of Super Grade 1 Saint Chi. Super Grade 1 Advanced Mantra, Lin Feng said to himself. Then he took out another mantra and read it slowly. He was instantly immersed in it. This was indeed the most precious treasure trove of the Magic City Wayner. It was very valuable. Although he only saw the Super Grade 1 Advanced Mantra, it was already comparable to the highest level of the Shuelo. The Super Grade 1 Advanced Mantra could only be found in the Nirvana realm. The Magic City Wayner is indeed the city with the longest history in the Dongning continent, Lin Feng thought to himself. The treasures that had been accumulated over the years were quite extraordinary. The treasures here are definitely not found in the Nirvana realm, Zui Yin said proudly. Zui Yin proudly said. I even dare say that there aren't many demons in the entire 33 continents who could defeat Wayner. Zui Yan's voice rang out behind him, but Lin Feng's gaze landed on a small golden booklet. There was only one booklet at the top of the bookshelf, and it was very strange. It seemed that Zui Zedong thought highly of this secret manual. Holding in his hand, Lin Feng opened it. His eyes lit up. Chapter 725. 10 lines at a glance. It was too easy for Lin Feng to memorize everything he saw. It took him less than 30 seconds to memorize every single word and sentence in the golden booklet. Even the punctuation marks were clearly imprinted in his mind. After that, Lin Feng continued to browse through the other secret manuals without batting an eyelid. When he saw something that he liked, he directly memorized it. There was no need to waste what he had. Behind him, Zui Yin was fuming. Veins were popping out on his forehead, but he did not dare to say anything for fear of angering the man in front of him. He was the mayor of Wayna, a level 9 heavenly demon. When had he ever been so aggrieved? However, he could only swallow his anger. Most importantly, he had no confidence in defeating the other party. After waiting for an hour, Lin Feng finally left the bookshelf. Zui Yan's face twitched. Fortunately, there were not many secret manuals in this treasury. Otherwise, he would have wasted a lot of time. Following behind Lin Feng, Zui Yan's face turned green. He knew that this human had already memorized all the useful secret manuals. Despicable. Cunning. Zui Yan cursed. Lin Feng did not mind. He strolled around in circles, looking for the most suitable treasure for himself. It was at least 10,000 years old. It was definitely a treasure trove of treasures. With the temperament of the demons, I don't think many can enter here. Although Lin Feng had his back to Zui Yan, he could see the anger on his face. It was like a barrel of gunpowder that could explode at the slightest touch. There was no need to provoke him further. After all, as the mayor and one of the ancient demons of noble birth, Zui Yan had his own pride. It would not do anyone any good to fall out with him. It's about time. There's no need for us to be so petty. It's simple. I'll take the treasures that are about the same value, and you take all the ferocious beasts and heavenly demon corpses, including the demon cores. If you feel that you're at a disadvantage, then it's fine. If you feel that it's worth it, I won't be so calculative. How about it? Lin Feng looked at Zui Yan. The latter was still hesitating. Lin Feng raised his hand, and all the ferocious beasts appeared. The corpses of the heavenly demons all appeared, and the empty treasury was instantly filled to the brim. Zui Yan's purple demonic eyes lit up. You count. I'll take the treasures. Lin Feng didn't wait for Zui Yan's response and had already moved. Very soon, Lin Feng's movements were extremely fast. He had already calculated everything in his mind. Furthermore, there weren't many treasures in this treasury. It was only about 10% of the treasures in the second treasury. The more precious a treasure was, the rarer it was. Of course, there were principles in trading. He could use his wits, his eloquence, or his connections, but Lin Feng would never do such a thing. With the holy fruit as the main ingredient, Lin Feng took some suitable holy treasures. High-grade holy fruit, black orchid, pure energy type, used for soul recovery. High-grade saint fruit, earth emperor extreme fruit. The aptitude category greatly increases the earth aptitude. High-grade saint fruit, chi dai. Basic type increases bloodline density. Mid-grade holy fruit. Zui Yan glanced around. He naturally knew his own treasures. Zui Yan's mouth twitched. There were only 8 types of high-grade holy fruits in the entire treasury. They had all been accumulated by Wayner over countless years. After all, the energy in the 33 continents wasn't dense enough. High-grade holy fruits were too hard to find. For example, the black orchid had been here for nearly 400,000 years. The Earth Emperor Extreme fruit had been here for 120,000 years. In comparison, obtaining a mid-grade holy fruit was easier than obtaining a high-grade holy fruit, but only slightly. Normally, one might not even obtain one in a few thousand years. Saber Demon, aren't you being too greedy? Zui Yan's eyelids twitched. Although these demons couldn't use them, They were treasures that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Zui Yan's face darkened as he cursed inwardly. He was furious. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. Exchanging treasures from the Nirvana world for treasures from the Nirvana world is very fair. Fair my ass. Zui Yan cursed inwardly, but he couldn't say anything. High-grade holy fruits were also rare in the Nirvana world, but these ferocious beast corpses and heavenly demon experts were all common goods in the Nirvana world. Although he was fooled for a moment, he quickly came to his senses. However, Zui Yan knew clearly that he was no match for that cunning human in terms of eloquence. He had been led by the nose by the other party during the entire transaction. City Lord Zua, if I'm greedy, I'll take your only supreme-grade holy fruit, Lin Feng said with a smile. Zui Yan's face twitched as he roared inwardly. You have a nerve to take a supreme-grade holy fruit? If you dare to take it, I'll turn hostile immediately. Zui Yan roared inwardly with a livid face, but he forced himself to endure. Some things were his bottom line, such as his only supreme-grade holy fruit and his supreme-grade heavenly saint weapon. These were all priceless treasures in the 33 continents. Lin Feng smiled. With his judgment and true I-Sane power, how could he not know where Zui Yan's bottom line was? Because while he was taking the treasures one by one, he had been paying attention to Zui Yan's expression. Although Zui Yan was counting the ferocious beast corpses, he was also paying attention to Zui Yan. He wasn't paying attention to how much Zui Yan had taken, but whether Zui Yan had stolen anything. 3 supreme-grade holy fruits and 3 supreme-grade holy treasures, Lin Feng said. What do you think, City Lord Zua? These 6 were the most valuable. The other supreme-grade holy fruits and holy treasures were less valuable. As for the rest, Lin Feng didn't take them. He didn't want to be too greedy. Zui Yan's face darkened, and he said nothing. He continued counting the ferocious beast corpses, struggling internally. Lin Feng stood with a smile. Of course, he knew the pros and cons of the transaction value. If the saint fruits and saint treasures were calculated in terms of Nemo coins, just the 3 high-grade saint fruits and 3 high-grade saint treasures would be worth more than 40 trillion. This was the value in the 33 continents. The other supreme-grade holy fruits and supreme-grade holy fruits and holy treasures would be worth about 10 trillion. The total was more than 50 trillion Nemo dollars. However, 1/5 of the ferocious beast corpses and heavenly demon corpses he gave Zui Yan already included the additional value to the demons. It was indeed an unequal amount, but the key was the hidden value. Zui Yan didn't dare to gamble, but he did dare to gamble. He gambled that he could escape unscathed. He gambled that he had plenty of options. Wiener wasn't the only one in demonic capital. Furthermore, he had read a large number of secret manuals and manuals. He was no longer at a loss. As for Zui Yan, he would lose no matter what choice he made. At the very least, Zui Yan would feel more at ease after completing the transaction. When the time came, he could nurture more heavenly demon experts and plunder the other demonic capital. For example, demonic capital's buy-in. The Eastcom continent was second only to demonic capital's Wiener. The two had been secretly fighting for a long time. Lin Feng knew very well. As long as Zui Yan didn't act on impulse, this transaction, it would definitely succeed. Saber Demon, take the treasures and scram as far as you can. Zui Yan gritted his teeth, his eyes purple as he suppressed his rage and roared. I don't want to see you again. Lin Feng smiled. Happy working with you, City Lord Zua. Lin Feng's voice echoed as he left. Chapter 726. He left Wei Na. For Lin Feng, this was a fruitful trip, especially the golden booklet. It would be crazy if I could cultivate it. Lin Feng's eyes widened and his heart raced. This was the source of his confidence. Whether Zui Yan agreed to the deal or not, he had already made a profit, and it was the biggest profit he had ever made. All the treasures in Wei Na added together might not be as valuable as this golden booklet, as long as he could cultivate it. The top of the bookshelf, the highest position. What Zui Zitong recommended the most is indeed not a normal mental cultivation manual. Lin Feng smiled. His figure rose and fell, perfectly blending into the darkness of Wei Na. Compared to the dark area in the Blood Tower prison, this place was nothing. He returned to White Cloud residence in the Jinglan mountain range, in a hidden cave at the edge of a cliff. Knock, knock, knock. Lin Feng kowtowed 3 times respectfully and lit 3 incense sticks in front of the grave. On the tombstone were the words he had carved. Bai Yun's grave. On the bottom right corner of the tombstone, a dark red fingerprint was still there. It was the promise he had made that day. If I don't die, I will kill your enemy for you. Senior Bai Yun, Jianwei is dead. I hope he can rest in peace. I know your wish. I will take good care of Xiao Yun and protect her with my life, just like you protected me that day. I will never betray you. A gentleman's word is as good as a whip. Lin Feng's eyes brightened, and he stood up. 2 years had passed, and things had changed. He was no longer the little guy who had just arrived at the Nemo planet and knew nothing. The Blue Moon clan that used to dominate the Jinglan mountain range had been destroyed. Their residence, land, and rocks were all covered with deep sword marks. Their corpses were eaten clean by beasts. It wasn't easy for a clan to develop in this barren land. They had to face attacks from beasts, demons, other clans, and even the revenge of human experts. It should be Jianwei's revenge after Lin's death. Lin Feng could imagine Jianwei's anger. If he couldn't find Lin Feng, he would definitely come to the White Bamboo residence. After all, this was the first place he saw Lin Feng. The Blue Moon clan was the largest clan within a 100-mile radius. Based on Jianwei's character, he would rather kill the wrong person than let him off. Even if there's only a 1% chance that I'm a member of the Blue Moon clan, it's still not enough. Jianwei will definitely slaughter the entire clan. Lin Feng shook his head. Besides sighing, he didn't feel anything else. He didn't feel any guilt or hatred. Everything was like a circle, and now it was complete. I just don't know if Brother Li is dead or alive. Lin Feng sighed. The past had already been let go. Lin Feng rebuilt the White Cloud residence, arranged the St. Crystal array, restored it to its original form, and erected a cenotaph inside. Now, Jianwei was dead. Now that the God Nirvana sect had been destroyed, there was no need to fear them anymore. Lin Feng would never forget the kindness of others, saving his life. Every drop was in his heart. After bidding farewell to the White Cloud residence, Lin Feng returned to the Blood Tower. He had done everything he needed to do. The most urgent thing now was integration. Perfect integration of Saint Qi. Improve the soul of talent. The soul of Earth made a Nirvana expert. 8 Directions Palace. Lord Ba. Lin Feng arrived. Oh, it's Lin Feng. Lord Ba smiled. You're back from Dongling City? Lin Feng smiled. He had caused such a big commotion in Dongling City. It was impossible for the Blood Tower not to know. It's all done, Lin Feng said. That's good. Lord Ba stroked his long beard. If you continue to cause trouble, the Anti-Blade Demon Alliance will grow stronger. Anti-Blade Demon Alliance? Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's an organization founded by the remnants of the God Nirvana sect in the name of justice. Lord Ba said, don't worry too much. Anyway, you're about to enter the Nirvana world. No matter how much trouble they cause, they're just a bunch of clowns. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. The Anti-Blade Demon Alliance was not as simple as Lord Ba said. Otherwise, the Blood Tower would have taken action long ago. I'm sorry to have caused trouble for the Blood Tower, Lin Feng said. Lord Ba smiled casually. Because of you, the Blood Tower is rising. Its reputation is unparalleled, and it's firmly ranked first among the 5 superpowers. There are also many newcomers who admire you joining. The Blood Tower has a lot of new blood. As the saying goes, those who don't make others jealous are mediocre, right? Lin Feng smiled. There were indeed 2 sides to many things. Haha, I've gone astray. You must have something to tell me, right? Lord Ba looked at Lin Feng. I have a few questions, Lin Feng said. Then he took out a book and handed it over. After coming back, he re-extracted the golden booklet. This was a rare and extremely rare thing. A doppelganger technique. Lord Ba's eyes widened. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Lord Ba's face was solemn. He read it carefully word by word, page by page, 3 times in total. Clap. He closed the book. Where did you get this heart fusion technique? Lord Ba looked straight at Lin Feng. Shanghai Wainer. Lin Feng didn't hide it. Lord Ba's eyes lit up. He nodded slightly. Shanghai Wainer has stood in the East Peace continent for nearly 1,000,000 years. It's possible to get this kind of secret book by chance. Judging from the words, it shouldn't be a fake secret book. Lin Feng nodded. This was what he was worried about. Although the possibility of Yin faking it was not high. After all, the transaction was sudden. However, it was necessary to be vigilant. Lord Ba had a lot of experience, and his ability to distinguish was stronger than Meng Qi's. His words undoubtedly added some confidence to Meng Qi. A doppelganger technique. Lord Ba sighed. Any doppelganger technique is a priceless treasure. In the Nirvana world, it can only be found by chance. I didn't expect to find it in the 33 continents, and this doppelganger technique is not ordinary. Lin Feng sneered. Why do you say that? Lord Ba stroked his long beard. There are 2 types of doppelganger techniques. One is real, and the other is illusory. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. Comparatively, they're more illusory. There are many branches of illusory. For example, one can directly condense illusory doppelgangers with the energy of heaven and earth. With enough strength, the number of doppelgangers can increase. Another example is bloodline. Many humans have the bloodline of divine beasts or ferocious beasts. They can split into life-bound beasts. Not only can they fight, but they can also speed up cultivation. Lin Feng nodded. He had seen a doppelganger of the Dark Xiu clan. It was a unique bloodline of the Dark Xiu clan. It could split a part of its soul and condense it into a life-bound divine beast. Real is rarer than illusory, and each type has many limitations. For example, this heart fusion technique of yours won't be suitable if the innate soul has already fused with the holy power and formed a perfect body. Lord Ba said, there are many types of real. Some can directly split the soul, and some can forcefully take over the body. As for your heart fusion technique, it happens to be one of the 2. To be continued. Chapter 727. On the 9th floor of Blood Tower 3. Lin Feng looked at the heart meld technique in front of him and hesitated. Lord Ba only gave him some advice. The real decision was in his hands. To cultivate it or not to cultivate it, it was a choice. Of course, there were benefits to having a clone. The only thing he was worried about was the unknown origin of the heart fusing technique. Not to mention whether the heart fusing technique had been tampered with in the Wainer treasury. It was unknown whether the heart fusing technique was real or fake before entering the Wainer treasury. Let's do it. Lin Feng's eyes sharpened. He was not afraid of challenges. If he could create a clone successfully, the advantages would outweigh the disadvantages. The heart meld technique is a corporeal clone. It doesn't invade the soul. Instead, it takes a drop of the soul's essence, like the blood of a demon or the seed of a wood spirit, and slowly nurtures it. Lin Feng knew the pros and cons of the heart meld technique. It was not like a virtual clone that could provide immediate combat power in a short period of time. Even among corporeal clones, it took a long time to take effect. Like raising a child, it took a long time. Once I become a powerful being, my talent soul will merge with the saint power. My life form will change, and I won't be able to cultivate the heart meld technique anymore. It's just in time. Lin Feng pursed his lips. There were 3 keys to the heart meld technique. First, it took a drop of the soul's essence. This was the advantage of the heart meld technique because it would not damage the talent soul itself. However, the consumption of vitality was unavoidable. It could be recovered after a long time, and it was not permanent. Many clone techniques often cruelly split the soul into 2 or share the same soul. Not only was the risk high, but it would also weaken the body's combat power. It was not worth it. Second, it was the protection of the saint power. The saint power could not be split, and the soul itself was very fragile. This required the protection of a powerful saint power to protect this drop of soul's essence and transfer into a new body. It was like the ancient emperors of Huaxia entrusting their children to their ministers. I don't have to worry about whether to give up the true I Saint power or combine it with the true Dragon Saint power. Lin Feng had already decided on this. They were both absolute saint powers. He could not give up the true I Saint power, but it was a long way to go to cultivate it to the limit. Now, he could kill two birds with one stone. The most important thing is the third point, a suitable carrier. Lin Feng was secretly apprehensive. A vessel that could withstand the true pupil holy power. For a life form without a soul, or with a weak soul, the key was that it had to be compatible. Just like blood, not all blood types could be compatible, and not all medicines could be mixed together. The most important thing was to find a suitable vessel. Once he failed, not only would he lose a drop of soul essence, but he would also have to give up the true pupil saint power. There was only one chance. Since he was ready to give it a try, Lin Feng no longer hesitated. The key was how to complete it. While cultivating, Lin Feng issued tasks and entrusted the Bloody Tower to find suitable human experts with evil deeds. Soul compatibility was crucial. Reincarnating in another body was not a perfect fusion. Was fusing hard. What he had fused with wasn't just his innate talent soul, but his entire being. If it was before, Lin Feng wouldn't have understood. But at this point in his cultivation, however, he was already very clear that the so-called heart was actually the third map. To form a life form, especially a human, from the first map to the third map, not a single one can be missing. It must be integrated into the body at the moment of death to complete the replacement. Lin Feng comprehended and cultivated the fusing heart technique. He grasped the trick bit by bit and looked forward to the clone more and more. Now, everything was ready. He only needed the east wind. 3 days later. Found it? Lin Feng ended his cultivation. Gulan nodded. According to your request, often, we found 3 candidates. They are all male human experts who are under the age of 4. Take a look at the information. Lin Feng took the information and opened it. Although he was not a righteous person, he couldn't do it to human warriors who had never made a living. After all, he was doing it for his own selfish desires. As for those who were under the age of 4, it was because they needed some buffer time. They had broken through the age of 30, but the key was still compatibility. Whether they could be compatible or not was a very subtle feeling. There is a suggestion in the fusing heart technique. Try to be compatible with human warriors who are close to your age and have similar conditions in all aspects. The success rate of compatibility will be higher. Lin Feng pondered. Even if it was only a drop of soul essence, it was separated from the main body and needed to be integrated with the host's physical body and heart. Han Dong, 3 years old, first stage assassin, good at Dark Dao. Huyan Chang, 0 years old, 5th stage Qi Cloud, disciple of Kunlun Mountain, good at both Yin and Thunder Dao. Tong Gu, 3 years old. Lin Feng read the information carefully. Over and over again, he looked at the 3 unfamiliar faces and the detailed information, but he didn't feel anything. Although feeling and compatibility were 2 different things, if he didn't feel comfortable, the success rate of compatibility would naturally not be too high. Especially when Lin Feng knew very well that the clone would be a new individual at that time. What did this mean? Aptitude and talent are not only related to compatibility, but also to the host. Lin Feng frowned. The aptitude and talent of the clone depended on 3 aspects. Among them, the host's aptitude accounted for more than 60%. Therefore, if the host's aptitude was too poor, the upper limit of the clone's aptitude would not be high. In the 33 continents, it's very difficult to find a talented villain who is compatible with me. It's too difficult. Lin Feng closed the information. These 3 candidates were already the best candidates, but their aptitudes were not complementary. If it was just an ordinary clone, he would rather not have it. It would be a waste of soul essence and energy. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. There were 2 paths in front of him now. One was to continue waiting for a suitable host, and the other was to give up on the clone and directly become a Nemo expert. If he wanted to be compatible with the current environment, it would be like standing out among dwarves. It was really unnecessary. The fusing heart technique came at the right time. If I give it up now, Lin Feng frowned. Suddenly, a faint throbbing spread from the storage ring and went straight to his heart. Lin Feng let out a soft cry of surprise. A light flashed in his hand, and a huge egg with sparkling and translucent patterns appeared. It contained a strong and incomparable earth energy mixed with a lot of dark energy. The Tyrannosaurus Rex egg. There's finally movement. Lin Feng smiled. Movement meant that the individual in the egg had grown up and was a living creature. It was not far from breaking out of the egg. This Tyrannosaurus Rex egg from the Blood Pagoda Realm prison would hatch into a powerful Tyrannosaurus Rex with an ancient divine beast bloodline. When it comes out, I could try to make it a compatible, ferocious beast. But there's not much hope. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Ferocious beasts were difficult to be compatible with, not to mention that he was completely incompatible with it. Compatible? Lin Feng was stunned, and his heart raced. Since it's compatible, why don't I use the fusing heart technique while it's still in the egg, and use the Tyrannosaurus Rex as a host? Chapter 728. Lin Feng had already witnessed the strength of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was the darling of the earth, and the special nature of the Blood Pagoda prison had given the Tyrannosaurus Rex the power of darkness. In addition to its terrifying body, it was worthy of the word invincible among those of the same level. Other than being a little stupid, the Tyrannosaurus Rex had no weaknesses. It has one of the best physiques among the beasts on planet Nemo. Even if it is a little stupid, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is already close to the first generation of ancient divine beasts. If it has the intelligence of a human, how terrifying would it be? Lin Feng felt terrified just thinking about it. But now it was completely possible to achieve it. If I can succeed, I can get a Tyrannosaurus Rex clone, a body comparable to ancient divine beasts, and the sole talent of a human. Lin Feng's chest moved up and down. If he could succeed with such a dreamy combination, it would be heaven-defying. The clone's talent would instantly surpass the main body. The possibility of a heart fusion is very high. First, the Tyrannosaurus Rex's soul is weak. Second, it hasn't hatched yet, so it's even weaker. As for the degree of fusion, the Tyrannosaurus Rex has just formed an individual and hasn't become a real life yet. Everything is not fixed yet. If I can achieve a heart fusion, it would be like remolding, and the probability is not lower than that of a human. The only problem is whether the newborn Tyrannosaurus Rex can withstand such a powerful soul. Lin Feng analyzed carefully, but there was no information in this area. Let's try. How can I succeed if I don't try? At most, I will fail. Lin Feng smiled. The probability of a heart fusion or a divine beast was not high. Now that the two were combined, the probability was much higher. Failure was within reason. However, if he could succeed, the results he would obtain would be bountiful. No problem. Even if the Tyrannosaurus Rex's bloodline has not awakened, its body is comparable to ancient divine beasts. Even if it's just a baby, it will definitely be able to withstand it. Lin Feng's eyes shone. Low-grade pure energy holy fruits, Zhu Zhong. Yuguan zi mid-grade pure energy holy fruits rice dew, glass heart milk. High-grade pure energy holy fruit black orchid. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and prepared. Holy fruits from the Wiener Pit of Shanghai. Most of them were soul recovery types, and they were all for this moment. Once a portion of the innate soul was extracted, one's essence chi would be depleted. This was especially true for one of the three high-grade holy fruits, the black orchid, which had the best effects. Begin. Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless as he circulated the heart fusion art. Unlike normal soul cutting, the fusing heart technique only extracted a drop of the innate soul's essence. They were like seeds. In the blink of an eye, it was sucked into the chi cloud of true eyes. The essence of the innate soul was relatively fragile and could be easily assimilated and eliminated. Therefore, without the protection of the saint energy, it could not be used. Waves of tiredness, fatigue, headache, and all kinds of side effects surged out. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. The loss of soul essence had a huge impact. After taking the low-grade, pure energy holy fruit, Lin Feng directly swallowed it and absorbed it. Heart fusion was temporarily suspended. This was because the second and third steps still required the support of the innate soul. From the low grade to the mid-grade, and finally to the high grade, Lin Feng rapidly recovered his innate soul, which had been damaged. After a long time, Lin Feng let out a long breath. He had absorbed most of the holy fruit's energy, and his innate soul had recovered by 60%. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Continue to the second step. Using the heart fusion art, the veins on Lin Feng's forehead bulged. There was a violent tremor in the depths of his mind. The chi cloud of true eyes was extracted. Lin Feng roared and rushed straight into the T-Rex egg. It was as if his body had been stripped of power. His back was covered in sweat, and his eyes were bloodshot. At this time, the chi cloud of true eyes had completely invaded his body through the heart fusion art. Success or failure depended on this. It really is a T-Rex. Although it was just a glimpse, Lin Feng had already seen a miniature T-Rex. It had the characteristics of the powerful T-Rex in the Blood Pagoda prison. It was the darling of the earth and had active dark energy. In an instant, whoosh, Lin Feng's consciousness entered. The body that didn't belong to him immediately resisted strongly, but the true eye's saint energy was strong and stable. Against a T-Rex infant, absolute suppression. The last step, devouring. As a saint energy cultivator, Lin Feng was very clear about this step. After all, he had devoured the soul of the primordial sky fiend Qi Yin. Facing the weak soul of the T-Rex, Lin Feng directly absorbed it into the chi cloud of true eyes. Heart fusion art. Lin Feng used it. Not only did he have to devour it, but he also had to perfectly merge it. Only then could he unleash the strongest ability of the heart fusion art and stimulate the T-Rex's heaven-defying talent. Time passed slowly. Within the cultivation room, Lin Feng sat cross-legged. In front of him was a huge dragon egg. Ripples rippled out, containing a dense earth energy. Suddenly, the 3-meter-tall dragon egg shook violently. The eggshell slowly cracked, and the patterns on it broke open. A mini Tyrannosaurus Rex drilled out of the eggshell. Its miniature size was only relative to a normal Tyrannosaurus Rex. In fact, this Tyrannosaurus Rex that was just born was already over 3 meters tall. Covered in scales, this T-Rex infant gnawed on the eggshell and absorbed the rich crystal energy of the eggshell. Its body kept climbing up. 4 meters, 5 meters. When the eggshell was completely eaten, the T-Rex was already 8 meters tall. It was already a huge beast. Roar! With a low roar, the T-Rex's eyes flashed fiercely. It didn't look like a baby at all. On the other side, Lin Feng slowly opened his eyes and looked up at the giant in front of him. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. His clone was perfectly created. It was absorbed into his body. It was too dangerous to release a clone alone. This was a clone with a physical body. It was equivalent to a real life form, a genuine T-Rex. The only difference was that he had human intelligence. To be precise, it was his consciousness. Walk the path of transformation. Or a demon. Lin Feng smiled. He decided to be fashionable early and was in a good mood. Only when he truly became a T-Rex did he understand how abnormal it was. The terrifying physical strength, without any enhancement, far exceeded that of monsters of the same level, not to mention the demons and humans. The most terrifying thing was aptitude. The darling of the earth, worthy of its reputation. Lin Feng sighed softly, controlling the body of the T-Rex and sensing the surrounding energy of heaven and earth. He absorbed it to the extreme without cultivating. The energy of the earth was like a fairy surrounding him. His sensing ability exceeded his perfect human body's light, darkness, and thunder. Even if it's just a single cultivation, with the help of physical strength, it's still unshakable. Moreover, I can also cultivate the true, holy power. Lin Feng sighed. In the cultivation room, the little T-Rex roared proudly. It waved its claw like lightning, and it actually contained the concept of blade. The strongest clone was born. Chapter 729. Which path should the Tyrannosaurus clone take? To Lin Feng, this was an important decision. It would determine the future of his clone. Each path had its pros and cons. Taking the transformation path was a heaven-defying path. The key was to survive 3 lightning tribulations and transform into a human. At that time, not only would he be able to cultivate like a human and comprehend the mysteries of heaven and earth, but he would also possess the bloodline of a demon beast. His body would be strong, and his combat strength would be astonishing. There's no need to worry about the lightning tribulations. Besides, I'm more familiar with this path. The Tyrannosaurus is favored by the earth and has a deep understanding of the earth's energy. The transformation path is bitter before sweet. After surviving the lightning tribulations and becoming a heaven demon expert, he won't be inferior to a heaven demon expert. Lin Feng was very clear about this point. Shi Fan was killed by heaven demon, the Archwulun. The demon god path is not only difficult to cultivate in the early stages, but after transforming into a ferocious beast, the speed of cultivation will be far inferior to a heaven demon expert after transformation. The only advantage is combat strength. It surpasses the transformation path in the early stages and is not inferior to a heaven demon expert in the later stages. Lin Feng muttered to himself, "Swish." However, the so-called strength in the early stages of the demon god path was meaningless. With his wealth, it wouldn't take long for the Tyrannosaurus clone to reach the Nemo level. In general, the transformation path is not only easier, but also more suitable for me. Lin Feng raised his claws and absorbed the heaven and earth energy. Although the best cultivation method for the Tyrannosaurus clone was to consume the flesh of demon beasts, he really couldn't bring himself to do it. He had no choice but to choose the expensive and slow path. Fortunately, the Tyrannosaurus clone's aptitude was too outstanding. No matter how he cultivated, it wouldn't be difficult for him to cultivate to the limit of a demon beast king. There's still some time before the choice. There's no need to make a decision so quickly. When I enter the Nirvana world and gain more experience, it will be more beneficial and wiser to make a choice. Now, recover the talent soul and break through to the Nemo level first. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The talent soul had recovered 70%. It was enough for Lin Feng. It wouldn't affect the fusion and transformation. After all, it wasn't permanent damage. She was just like a physical injury. As long as there was enough heaven and earth energy and enough time to recuperate, it would recover. Now, there was no need to wait. When the innate talent soul breaks through, it will generate a huge amount of natural energy that can aid in the recovery of the innate talent soul. I've done most of the things I need to do in the 33 continents. I've also mastered the last 2 styles of the 7 limits. It was pointless to waste time. There are still 9 months before the 3-year period on Earth. If I enter the Nirvana world now, I believe that my strength will increase by another level in a short period of time. At that time, I'll have a better chance. Lin Feng took a deep breath. He took a deep breath and adjusted his state of mind and aura. Although he had simulated it many times, he was still a little nervous at the beginning. After all, what he was about to try was not a simple fusion of the holy chi of heaven and earth, light and darkness. It was the combination of 2 extremes that repelled the energy of heaven and earth. S. Even if I can barely fuse them, the dark saint energy and rainbow saint energy can reach the limit of the absolute level. Lin Feng clenched his fists. His palms were sweating. This was something that the light and thunder titan holy chi and the dark and thunder nether holy chi could not compare to. Even if they were perfectly combined, it would only be at the limit of the unparalleled level. Furthermore, my comprehension of the Tao of light and the Tao of darkness are the strongest. The Tao of thunder was something that could only be improved by chance. Originally, his talent for thunder was very ordinary. It's the same fusion as the Blood Pagoda Prison. As long as I can wield it like I did in practice, I can achieve a normal fusion and break through to the absolute level. The absolute level. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He was extremely focused and had a strong obsession. The 2-year preparation period of Nemo Planet had passed. Next, he would face layers of turbulent waves. Only with enough strength could he cross the rugged path. He would sweep away all obstacles in front of him, breaking through the limit. And going from Zizhou to Nirvana was not only an increase in the level of power, but more importantly, the evolution of the level of life. Under the Nemo realm, he still needed the help of the Heart Sutra to communicate with heaven and earth and absorb energy. The soul of earth only existed in the body. It was a medium or a storage container. But after crossing this threshold, the level of life would change. Zizhou's holy chi would fuse into the source point, and the soul of earth, which had absorbed enough energy, would transform into the star. According to you, this was the level of a star realm expert. The starting point of the true level of the universe was to change from relying on the universe to forming the universe. The body was like a star and had the energy of heaven and earth. At that time, he would no longer need the help of the Heart Sutra. If he walked the path of darkness and thunder, the soul of earth would transform into the nether star. It was like stepping from the lower level of the universe to the upper level. His sensitivity to the energy of heaven and earth would be greatly improved. It would be easier to cultivate and comprehend mysteries. He would be recognized by the origin of energy. The key is the source point. The higher the level, the stronger the source point. Lin Feng was very clear. Most of the souls of earth were the same, but the source point could be very different. Different levels created different source points with different energy compositions. It was like a magnet. The higher the level of the source point, the stronger the attraction and the more energy it could absorb. It was not only for cultivation, but also for combat. If he did not succeed, he would die trying. If he wanted to defeat Zhuo Zidong in a year and a half, then he had to completely surpass her in source points to catch up with her. The primeval demon. In a year and a half, I will also cross the Saint Ascension stage and become a Nirvana stage cultivator. Obsession gave Lin Feng endless focus and power. The upper-level heart of glory was already in his mouth. Almost instantly, Lin Feng started to sprint and break through to the limit. The dark Saint Chi and the rainbow Saint Chi collided. Sparks flew everywhere. Both first-level Saint Chi were at the same level. They spun rapidly around the soul of Earth. The meridians were connected. The surging energy was released and poured into the soul of Earth. The soul of the Earth was like a mother holding two children in her arms. If the two children had good tempers, it would be easy. However, if the two children had violent tempers, it would be a disaster. The perfect dark child star and rainbow, Saint Chi, surrounded the soul of Earth and penetrated it bit by bit. The energy exploded, one left and one right, one south and one north. No, Lin Feng sensed it at the beginning. This was completely different from the fusion of Saint Chi. Saint Chi was only a part of the child star's energy, but now it was all of it. True Dragon Saint Power. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. The Saint Power precisely controlled the two energies. They kept flowing and changing. Almost half of them had merged into the soul of Earth. He still could not bite the upper-level heart of glory because he had not reached the limit. But with each entry of energy, the soul of Earth became more and more intense. The conflict was gradually getting out of control. The true Dragon Saint Power could not enter the soul of Earth. Disaster. The first fusion was still lacking experience. Chapter 730. His last trump card. Crack. Lin Feng bit the heart of honor into pieces, and the pure energy instantly flowed into his body and into the soul of the Earth. Instantly, it was like a sweet spring, as if he had given a toy to two children who were fighting violently, temporarily stopping their quarrel. Let's fight. Lin Feng's eyes were fierce. Frowning deeply, he instantly stuffed the remaining quarter of the substar's energy into the soul of the Earth. He had no other choice. He didn't have enough experience in the first fusion. If he had experience, he would definitely control it better than now. But now that things had come to this, there was no room for regret. He could only try his best. Lin Feng was desperate. He knew in his heart. The Dark Void Holy Chi and the Rainbow Holy Chi definitely couldn't fuse normally this time. No wonder Elder Gong wants to see the fusion of light and dark Holy Chi. Lin Feng's thought disappeared in a flash. His energy was perfectly matched, and he had the help of the true dragon's Saint power. He had also fused the two holy chi normally before, including the upper grade Heart of Glory. He had so many advantages, but now, even trying to fuse with it was extremely difficult. Swoosh! Lin Feng's face was pale. The last substar's energy that was pushed and ignited the war in the soul of the earth again. The dark void holy chi and the rainbow holy chi instantly exploded. Without the restraint of the true dragon Saint power, the two were like Mars crashing into Earth. They couldn't tolerate each other's existence at all. Damn it! Lin Feng tried his best. No matter how focused he was completely out of control now. Although the plan was according to the layout of the Blood Pagoda Realm Prison, his lack of experience led to his failure this time. The reason why the Blood Pagoda Realm Prison's light region and the dark region could form a unified body was not just because of the energy arrangement of the Tai Chi 8 trigrams. The core was located. The core of the Blood Pagoda Realm Prison acted as a buffer and also prevented the two extreme repulsive energies from directly touching each other. Whether it was weakening or strengthening from top to bottom, the middle was in an average state. There was little difference. The core of the Blood Pagoda Realm Prison is inside, but the star formed by the soul of the earth, it's outside. Lin Feng's face twisted in pain. His body was about to reach its limit and explode. Normally, the failure of the dark void holy chi and the rainbow holy chi would cause an explosion, injuring oneself. In front of him, this was a collision of Child Joe's limits. Once the fusion failed, he wouldn't be like a normal human martial artist. Even if he doesn't die, he'll be seriously injured. Lin Feng was very clear. The more success one gained, the more failures one suffered. He couldn't accept it. He couldn't accept it. There must be a way. There must be a way to save him. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. He focused his mind. Lin Feng's state of mind, which was as tough as steel, made him unyielding. He would never admit defeat, even if it was a situation of certain death, because he firmly believed that there was no such thing as absolute. Whoosh! As he approached despair, Lin Feng suddenly saw the lightning dragon star that existed alone outside the soul of the great earth. At this moment, he couldn't care less whether it was reasonable or not. There was only one thing on his mind, and that was desperate times call for desperate measures. Boom! Like thunder, the lightning dragon roared. The soul of the great earth was originally in a mess. Because of the influx of the lightning dragon star, it was as if thunder had descended from the sky. Its power was unparalleled, and the two children who were fighting until their faces turned red were instantly stunned. If the lightning dragon star had entered early, it would have been involved in the vortex of the battle between light and darkness. It would have been torn to pieces, but now, bang! But it was like a stabilizing needle. In an instant, the soul of the great earth suddenly had a brief moment of peace, pulling Lin Feng back from the edge of the cliff. Lin Feng was overjoyed. A source of hope emerged. Lin Feng was unfazed by both praise and humiliation. He had always been prepared. There's a chance. Lin Feng immediately controlled it. With the newly added lightning dragon star as the core, he fought against the consumed dark void holy chi and rainbow holy chi. The formation of the Blood Pagoda prison appeared in his mind. At this moment, it was extremely compatible. The three types of energy seemed to become one, slowly forming without any gaps. Like the calm after a storm, a rainbow was drawn in front of his eyes. From rise to fall, the energy gradually stabilized. The soul of the great earth gradually formed the image of a star. White and black intersected, with thunder and lightning in the middle. It slowly collapsed and rapidly compressed until, bang! His heart shook. Three Taoist Zhou's extreme holy chi turned into a tricolored source and became the center of the star. The tyrannical energy spread from the source and bloomed from the star. In an instant, it entered the body. A tyrannical life energy spread out, changing the cells and the structure of the body. The soul of the great earth turned into a strange star. The three colors merged into one. With the tricolored source as the center, it was as stable as a rock. It was like the sun in the darkness, standing tall. It actually succeeded. Lin Feng did not expect it. The ups and downs were hard to believe. The tricolored source bloomed with extreme light. It was strong and powerful. It made the tricolored star extremely sturdy. It was like an airtight fortress. The three auras merged perfectly. Although he knew it was made of light, dark, and thunder, he could not feel their auras, because it had been perfectly merged, barely merged. The holy chi energy must be one of them. Normal merging. I can feel that the two types of holy chi are dependent on each other. Only perfect merging. The energy is seamless. It's like the transformation of the life level. It's truly formed. New holy chi. It was a blessing in disguise. The new holy chi did not need to be appraised. It was 100% of the ultimate level. Normal merging could reach the ultimate level. Perfect merging was much stronger than normal merging. Although the soul of the great earth had transformed and broken through, Lin Feng did not stop. His talent soul also broke through. It was enough to rely on the true dragon's saint power alone, because the true dragon's saint power was of the ultimate level. Merge. The depths of his consciousness changed violently. The transformation of the first and second meridian diagrams led to the change of the third. The power of the heart sublimated. Once again, it entered the mysterious black vortex. The Overlord's combat power increased. Lin Feng felt that everything in the black hole world was transforming. Every time, there was a small change. This time, not only did the energy increase greatly, but the volume also expanded to the extreme. The entire black hole space was like a perfect hole. The energy and area seemed to have reached the limit. It's difficult to increase it anymore. Lin Feng thought to himself. He had an inexplicable feeling. His heart spread throughout the entire space, but it was like a drop in the ocean. He could not sense the existence of the boundary at all. This place was still as mysterious as ever. What was it? Lin Feng did not know. The next moment, he returned, feeling the brand new body, the new tricolored star, and the true dragon star. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. He had broken through and become a Nemo expert. Chapter 731. Three Colored Stars. It was not like the Blood Tower prison, which used light and darkness as the main elements and formed an arrangement like the 8 trigrams. Now that the 3 stars were perfectly fused, they were fused together in a special order. Light, darkness, and thunder were combined into one, forming a complicated sequence of codes. It's impossible to perfectly fuse light and darkness. Lin Feng was very clear. He tried himself. Even his holy chi could only achieve a normal fusion. The Blood Tower prison model was a shortcut. It did not really fuse the two, and it was only a normal fusion. And the fusion of the stars was 100 times more difficult than the fusion of holy chi. If I had one more year to prepare, I might not need to rely on the intervention of the Thunder Dragon Star to fuse light and darkness normally. But it may not be as good as the perfect fusion of the 3 energies now. Lin Feng was very satisfied. This time, it was indeed an accident. Earlier, the Thunder Dragon Star would have become the victim of the conflict between light and darkness. Later, the fusion would have failed. However, although he had built it in the Blood Tower prison model, the plan could not change. There were too many differences in the details between the fusion of the stars and the structure of the Blood Tower prison. If I had followed the Blood Tower prison model, it would have been a normal fusion at most, with light and darkness as the main elements. Now Lin Feng's eyes flashed. It was a perfect fusion, and the 3 energies were stable and equal. Just like light and thunder condensed into Titan, darkness and thunder condensed into the netherworld, and then Titan and the netherworld merged into one. Lin Feng nodded. He had avoided the most direct contact between light and darkness. Only then did he raise the fusion grade from normal to perfect. Perhaps, in the vastness of the universe, there might be talented experts who could perfectly fuse light and darkness, but he could not do it now. Even so, in terms of source points and stars, it was better. Since it's the fusion of Titan and the netherworld, let's call it the Taiyu star, Lin Feng said with a smile. Such stars, and holy chi. There was no other home on Nemo's star. Blood Tower number 3, ninth floor. The Anti-Knife Demon Alliance is too hateful. Yes, we can't let them slander Lord Lin anymore. Gorin and the others arrived. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Their faces were filled with indignation and righteous indignation. For the vast majority of Blood Tower number 3 assassins, Lin Feng was their revered king, their benchmark. How could they allow him to be discredited again and again? Suddenly, Galan was startled. He abruptly turned his head to look at the cultivation room. Boom! An intense, buzzing sound was heard as the horrifying blade power spread out. The shocking blade world covered the entire 9th floor. All the blood assassins, including Gorin, were dumbfounded. Seeing the toughest metal wall of the training room being broken, the remaining blade power shot out like a lightning bolt. Chi! It left a deep mark on the farthest wall. Complete silence. Were their eyes playing tricks on them? This was the Blood Tower. Even the 9 blood assassins were unable to leave a single mark on the wall, and the 5 Hall Masters could barely leave a mark even after using all their strength. However, this was one of the strongest defenses in the 33 continents. Right in front of their eyes, it was blasted apart. In the silent space, there was only the sound of a strong heartbeat and the figure that stepped out of the broken barrier. He was as tall as the sky. Lin Feng, Changfu Continent. With the 2 seniors joining us, we can definitely get rid of the Blade Demon. If we don't get rid of this villain, how can we good faction have any face? That's right. Everyone has the right to kill Blade Demon Lin Feng. Master Ao Jianhui was killed cruelly in order to stop his evil deeds, and his entire sect was slaughtered. One of the leaders of the good faction, the God Nirvana sect, has fallen. What a pity. A group of good faction experts of a younger generation gathered, all filled with righteous indignation. Among them, the leader was a disciple of the God Nirvana sect. Many elite disciples escaped from the battle that day, preserving a trace of the God Nirvana sect's bloodline. Ha! Elder Yang, I didn't expect you to come. The one who spoke was a man with a square face. He lowered his voice. For the sword art? Don't think of everyone as you do. I just don't want to be part of the Blood Tower. The old man with blue eyebrows shook his head, his eyes cold. There is no good person in the Blood Tower. Blade Demon Lin Feng killed the innocent. This kind of scum should be killed quickly. Is that so? May I ask what evil deeds he committed? A leisurely voice sounded. The square-faced man was stunned. The old man with blue eyebrows was furious. Slaughtering the God Nirvana sect. Just this crime alone is enough to see his character. Why is the God Nirvana sect good and the Blood Tower evil? The voice sounded again. The old man with blue eyebrows furrowed his brows. The God Nirvana sect is the leader of the good faction, so of course they're good. The Blood Tower is an assassin organization, so of course they're evil. Only with a righteous heart can you be good. If your heart isn't righteous, then even if you're good, you're still hypocritical. The square-faced man shouted, "Come out. Don't try to act mysterious." The old man with blue eyebrows snorted in disdain. "You little rascal, deliberately mystifying things." In the distance, a figure holding a huge black saber slowly walked over. The square-faced man and the old man with blue eyebrows looked over. They didn't recognize this person. The God Nirvana sect disciples behind them were dumbfounded. They shouted in horror, "Blade Demon! It's Blade Demon Lin Feng!" What? The square-faced man and the old man with blue eyebrows paled. Lin Feng looked up. "In the name of justice, you killed the assassins of the Blood Tower. You're just a bunch of hypocrites. You don't deserve the so-called righteous path." Whoosh! He raised his black saber high, his aura soaring to the sky. The dark Taiyu star rumbled. Ultimate Saint Chi mixed with 3 types of energy rose into the sky like a true dragon, roaring wildly. Boom! Tying Umitba and Zhong Kuei died. Sword Taoist died. The Anti-Blade Demon Alliance lost 90% of its members in one night and was torn apart. For a moment, the entire 33 continents were shrouded in a layer of black haze. Everyone was terrified and terrified. especially the righteous sections. They were even more terrified. The god of 10 swords, Ao Jianhui, was one of the top 10 new elites in the 33 continents. He was ranked 9th. However, Tying Umitba and Zhong Kuei were ranked 6th. Sword Daoist was an elite from the previous generation and was ranked 3rd. The deaths of these two elites caused a huge uproar. However, not long after, the Blade Demon Lin Feng appeared with the Celestial Pavilion's sect master, Ning Suxin, and calmed the storm. Thank you. Ning Suxin wore a white dress and looked ethereal. Fairy Ning, you're welcome. I don't want the 33 continents to be imbalanced because of me and the evil path to be rampant. Lin Feng looked at Ning Suxin. She was the master of Goddess Wakamin and Lan Xinyan. I also hope to do something for the Celestial Pavilion, Ning Suxin said calmly. For her, Lin Feng nodded. Fairy Ning, I'll have to trouble you in the future. Xinyan is a disciple of the Celestial Pavilion. I won't mistreat her, Ning Suxin said. With Fairy Ning's words, I'm relieved. Lin Feng smiled. Don't you want to see her before you leave? No. Okay. Send my regards to Ruomen. I will. Chapter 732. Blood mist covered the land. S. Have you made your decision? Yun Xing asked. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. During this period of time, he had been wandering around. In fact, he already had a plan in mind, so he wasn't in a hurry. To enter the Glory Alliance 7, one had to wait for the Glory Realm to open. They could only enter with the help of the Glory Army. There was only one day every month, and that was the first day of the month. His limit was the 10th of May, so he had a lot of free time. Right now, there were still 5 days until the first day of June. Meteor Sword's eyes lit up. If I'm not mistaken, you're heading straight for Glory's Alliance 7. Lin Feng nodded. Ao Jianhui is not dead. The Ao family is influential among the human forces in the Nirvana world. If I were in the Blood Tower, I would definitely cause a lot of trouble. But in the Glory Alliance, the largest human force, the Ao family can't do anything to me. You'll only be in more danger, Yun Xing said. Lin Feng smiled and said, only by tempering oneself can one grow. As long as the Ao clan cannot deal with me openly, there is nothing to be afraid of. Underhanded moves are even more terrifying than overt moves, Yun Xing said. Lin Feng nodded. He naturally knew why the Glory Alliance was so strong and why it could become the largest force in the human race. It was because the Glory Alliance wasn't a real force, but was made up of the elites of the entire Nirvana world. Because the Glory Alliance was always fighting against the demon race and the monster race. Shuelo preferred to practice alone. Oh, MIF, he wanted to become stronger quickly. He would have to fight continuously. Using battles to nurture his strength was the best plan. He didn't have much time left. Letting out a sigh, Yun Xing knew that Lin Feng had made up his mind. Without wasting any more time, a sword light flashed in his hand. His sword world covered the entire sword palace. Yun Xing's sword intent was overflowing. Come, let me see how you killed Sword Daoist. Lin Feng smiled. Sword Hall Master Yun Xing was ranked right behind Sword Daoist. Be careful, Palace Master Jian. After a long while, you let me win. Lin Feng sheathed his saber. Not far away, Yun Xing, the Sword Hall Master, looked pale. Blood dripped from the hanging right hand, and the sword world completely collapsed. His body was not seriously injured, but his heart was hurt. Swish! Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Without another word, he turned around and left. Sword Hall Master Yun Xing was ranked 4th among the top 10 experts of the 33 continents at his age. Needless to say, his aptitude and talent were extraordinary. However, he chose to stay in the 33 continents instead of entering the Nirvana world. It was difficult for his strength to increase by much, sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. If he had stayed on Earth that day, he definitely wouldn't have his current strength. If you want to become stronger on the path of cultivation, the only way is to keep moving forward. Lin Feng stepped out of the Sword Palace. From the beginning to the end, his conviction was firm. On the 9th floor of the Blood Tower, The improvement isn't that big. Tyrannosaurus Lin Feng rubbed his claws. A high-grade sacred fruit, the Earth Emperor Extreme Fruit, had entered his stomach, but he didn't feel anything. This was one of the 3 high-grade holy fruits from the Wiener Pit. The pure, energy-type high-grade holy fruit, Black Orchid, had already been used to recover souls. This Earth Emperor Extreme Fruit was of the aptitude type and could greatly increase the aptitude of the Earth. Previously, he planned to eat it after the little Tyrannosaurus Rex hatched. The so-called great improvement depends on the starting point. Tyrannosaurus Lin Feng absorbed the energy of heaven and earth. A large amount of earth energy was absorbed into his body, and his improvement speed was extremely fast. For example, from 1 to 11, it was equivalent to a 10-fold increase. But the same increase from 100 to 110 was only an increase of 10%. If it was from 1 to 10 to 10, it was almost negligible. The demon race is indeed more compatible with nature than humans. Tyrannosaurus Lin Feng sighed. Especially his own Tyrannosaurus Rex clone, it was the darling of the earth. Even its dark aptitude, which was born from the earth, was close to the dark aptitude of his own human body. Moreover, the demon race could cultivate independently and absorb the energy of heaven and earth. Their cultivation method was similar to that of the powerful humans, but the amount they needed was much more. The transformation path was still considered little. The demon god path to support the entire transformation of his huge body, the amount of energy needed was obvious. The bigger the body, the stronger the combat power, but at the same time, the more energy needed to be consumed and absorbed. The reason why demon beasts cultivate slowly is because of their huge bodies, but there is another reason. They haven't really been enlightened. They are unable to cultivate human heart techniques. Tyrannosaurus Lin Feng growled. All of a sudden, the originally scattered earth energy surged madly into that enormous body. The main body, Lin Feng, was sitting cross-legged. He no longer needed to cultivate. His remote Peace Star and True Dragon Star used their respective origin points as the center to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. The difference was obvious. Although the True Dragon origin point was a peerless grade origin point, it was much weaker than the extreme nether origin point. A few hundred times. Lin Feng sighed. He didn't expect the difference to be so big, but it was the truth. It wasn't that the True Dragon Star was inferior, but the remote Peace Star was too terrifying. It was also because his True Dragon aptitude was stronger that the difference was reduced by a lot. Otherwise, it would be more than a few hundred times, or even 1,000 times. The ancient record said that the amount of energy an origin point absorbs from heaven and earth is divided into 6 parts. The most important part is the grade of the origin point itself. The lowest grade of origin point is grade 1 normal. Lin Feng knew this very well. The reason why most warriors failed the first time was because of the fusion process. First-class Holy Chi was rare after all. Most of them were first-class Holy Chi. If one of them was an ordinary first-class Holy Chi, then it must be perfectly fused to reach the ordinary first-class Holy Chi. At this threshold, 80% of martial artists would fail. Elder Huang is right. The starting point is very important. Putting everything else aside, an extreme grade, 1 origin point absorbs 10 times more energy than a normal grade, 1 normal origin point. Once it reaches peerless grade, it will increase by another 10 times. Extreme peerless grade is 100 times more than a normal grade, 1 normal origin point. And into the ultimate, the legendary ultimate had even more shocking absorption. His remote peace origin was undoubtedly the ultimate, but he didn't know if it was ultimate normal, advanced, or extreme. About 100 times more than the True Dragon origin point, which is a whole level difference. Lin Feng thought. To put it simply, if the True Dragon origin point was extreme normal, then the remote peace origin point was ultimate normal. If the True Dragon origin point is extreme advanced, then the remote peace origin point is ultimate advanced. Lin Feng was very satisfied. It was reasonable to think about it in reverse. Under normal fusion, the remote peace origin point should be ultimate normal, but he had perfectly fused it, So the remote peace origin point was very likely to be ultimate advanced, which meant that the true dragon origin point was extreme advanced. In the Nirvana world, this was already a terrifying level. After all, most of the humans in the Nirvana world were only at grade 1. Even those at the peak of grade 1 were few and far between, let alone extreme grade 1. As for ultimate, that was just a legend. Chapter 733. 2 days later. Foam. My dark potential is almost at the limit. T-Rex Lin Foam roared. It wasn't easy to raise the Tyrant Dragon Avatar's dark aptitude to the same level as a human's. The Tyrant Dragon Avatar's body was simply too large, so the effect of the holy fruit was somewhat weakened. Actually, there's a threshold for potential too, Lin Feng thought. For example, his main body's potential was on par with the light and dark potential after 3 lightning tribulations. It would be difficult for him to raise it any further. It was the same for the T-Rex avatar. T-Rex Lin Feng stood upright. Its body was slightly longer than before, and the aura of the earth was abnormally strong. The darling of the earth deserved its name. It had only been a few days, but it had almost reached the level of the monster beast king. It was getting closer and closer to the path of transformation and demon god cultivation. Cultivation is too slow in the 33 continents. The avatar and the main body can enter and exit the Nirvana world together. Although the heart-merging arts avatar was an individual, the T-Rex avatar was also a ferocious beast. Naturally, it could be merged. Their souls were the same, and there was no rejection. After becoming a merged ferocious beast, it would be simple, because Xiao Yun was already in Lin Feng's body. That day, Bai Yun used a secret technique to force Xiao Yun into Lin Feng's soul of the earth. The reason why Lin Feng could withstand the 3 lightning tribulations for Xiao Yun was because of this. The Nirvana world's energy is 10 times that of the 33 continents. The energy of the 6 forbidden lands is even more shocking. With the T-Rex avatar's potential and the heart-merging art. Lin Feng's eyes shone. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With precise control, rays of bone-chilling cold light flashed in the blink of an eye. Dragon form. The dragon-devouring image that appeared in the sky wasn't golden. It was milky white and bone-chilling. The power of the Nirvana True Dragon Saint power was extremely shocking. Although the dragon-devouring image seemed a lot smaller, its power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Pa! Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he controlled it freely. The True Dragon origin point and stars not only increase its power, but also increase its power. It's easier to control it. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. Originally, he could not retract his 33 hands, but now, the True Dragon source point was like a magnet. He had to firmly control his power. The True Dragon Star could directly inject the True Dragon Saint force, and its power was astonishing. Whoosh! Whoosh! 33 glazed ice needles appeared in his hand. It turned out to be a set of 49 glazed ice needles. However, each of them was nearly 10 centimeters long, like a small sword. This was a set of high-grade heaven-tier saint treasures. Every glazed ice needle was made of high-grade saint treasures. Therefore, even the half price of a 10 Blood Corps member was 10 trillion Nemo coins. In the end, he used up all his wealth and barely managed to buy 33 of them, which was just enough for him to use the 33 hands of Imperial object manipulation. Relying on the 5 times explosive power from the 3rd layer of Secret of Imperial Void, supplemented by the Nirvana True Dragon Saint power, and the heaven-ranked glazed ice needle, the power of the dragon form is comparable to when I killed Ao Jianwei. Lin Feng put away the glazed ice needle. He got up. The improvement of his life level was reflected in various aspects. The extremely difficult secret of Imperial Void only took him a few hours to comprehend to the 3rd layer. The True Dragon Saint power was good at attacking. It was best for controlling objects, including the secret of Imperial Void. The Golden Feather was only a low-grade heaven tier, but the glazed ice needle was a true high-grade heaven tier. The power was incomparable. It's not a bad thing to have more trump cards after entering the Glory Alliance. Lin Feng smiled. These 4 days were not wasted. His strength slowly increased. Everything was on track. Finally, it's time to leave. There was no reluctance, because Lin Feng already knew how to take this path. Without saying goodbye to the people of the Blood Tower, Lin Feng chose to leave quietly and go to the Glory Realm alone. He had to become stronger. Entering the Nirvana Realm was a path he had to take. The Blood Tower of the 33 continents is connected to the Blood Tower of the Nirvana Realm, located in the 5th region of the human race. Lin Feng traveled through the wilderness border. The foundation of the Blood Tower was the Mother-Child Blood Tower. The Mother-Child Blood Tower was located in the 33 continents, and the Mother-Child Blood Tower was located in the 5th region. In the Nirvana Realm, humans controlled a total of 12 regions in terms of area. The largest was the 1st region, followed by the 2nd, then the 3rd, and so on. The regions were very far apart, either separated by the 6 forbidden lands or the territories of the monster race and the demon race. Therefore, he could only choose one of the two. To enter the Glory Alliance, he had to enter the 7th region of the human race. Enter the Glory Alliance and start all over again. The Nemo coin is useless in the Glory Alliance. The battle achievements are the common currency. Lin Feng sped up to the extreme. Now, even if he didn't use the titanium grade body, his speed was already quite shocking. Because the Nemo coin was useless in the Nirvana Realm, he spent it all before leaving. Including the Blood Tower of the Nirvana Realm, the common currency was no longer blood kill points, but the black seeds he obtained in the Ingui Realm. One life, one heaven. In the Glory Alliance, I must be careful of the AO family, Lin Feng said in his heart. He couldn't underestimate any enemy, especially the AO family in the Nirvana Realm, which was stronger than the Blood Tower. It was a very ancient family, not only rooted in the 1st region, but also in the other 11 regions. He entered the Glory Realm again. Just in time, Lin Feng arrived. At this time, the Glory Realm hadn't opened yet, but there were already many warriors waiting outside. There were hundreds of people from the 33 continents. Most of them were Nemo experts, because to enter the Glory Alliance or the Stellar Hall, even as an ordinary soldier, one must be at the Nirvana Realm. Of course, there were also many experts of the 1st and 2nd week waiting here. They were all elites selected through the Glorious Star Battle and the Hidden Star Battle, and were directly recruited into the Glory Alliance and the Stellar Hall. It was held every 5 years, and the 12 regions took turns to recruit. For example, 5 years ago, it was the 6th region of the human race, and 5 years later, it was the 8th region of the human race. Blade Demon. It's really Blade Demon. He also directly entered the Glory Alliance. Lin Feng's arrival caused an uproar. In the 33 continents, they could ignore the sect master of the Immortal Pavilion and the top 10 experts, but they definitely couldn't ignore Blade Demon Lin Feng. The most powerful and domineering expert, not only ranked 1st on the Glorious Star list, but also ranked among the top 10 experts in the 33 continents. The Glorious Star battle had long been forgotten. Now, everyone only remembered the power of Blade Demon Lin Feng, who wiped out the Nirvana sect and killed 3 of the top 10 experts, Lin Feng. He was famous and invincible. Swish, swish. Seeing Lin Feng's arrival, the crowd subconsciously separated in the middle and looked at him with all kinds of reverence, admiration, and envy. Step. Lin Feng walked forward slowly. He had long been used to this kind of gaze. Oh, Lin Feng's eyes lit up when he saw an acquaintance. Chapter 734. His round head leaned against a tree, revealing a simple and honest smile. Sizzle. Enlightenment Valley, Wu Daozi. Top 4 in the Battle of Glorious Star. He was a genius expert who had caused Fairy Ruan Meng a lot of trouble. He was ranked 3rd in the 10 Great Sects, a super genius from Enlightenment Valley. He was known as the smartest person in the 33 continents and had extraordinary battle instincts. After the Battle of Glorious Star, he was ranked 2nd on the Glorious Star list. Later, because he went into seclusion, he was overtaken by Ronghua. Hey, Brother Blade Demon, Wu Daozi waved his hand. Brother Wu Daozi. Lin Feng smiled. He had a good impression of Wu Daozi. He wasn't like those hypocrites in the Nirvana sect. Haha, what a coincidence, Wu Daozi laughed. Lin Feng nodded. I didn't expect Brother Wu Daozi to not go to Enlightenment Valley. Everyone knew that the disciples of Enlightenment Valley loved to comprehend the Tao and didn't like to fight. Joining the Glory Alliance meant that you had to fight. Even if you didn't like to fight, it would be difficult to avoid fighting the demon and monster races. After all, if you didn't provoke them, they would provoke you. You'll be eliminated if you don't care about yourself. Wu Daozi shook his head. Of the 7 people in the top 8 of this year's Battle of Glory, 5 have entered the trump card army of the Alliance of 7. Your name, Blade Demon, is known throughout the 33 continents. If I go to Enlightenment Valley alone, I will become a laughingstock. Wu Daozi revealed a bitter expression. So, even if I don't want to, I have to go. Lin Feng nodded. You know about Snowdrift and Manzi. Wu Daozi nodded. They all broke through to become Nirvana experts. Originally, I was ranked 2nd or 3rd, but now... Sigh, I'm probably at the bottom. Lin Feng smiled. Wu Daozi didn't seem to be unhappy. He was looking forward to it, because he would soon become a member of the Alliance of 7's trump card army. By the way, how are Goddess Wakaman and Ronghua? Goddess Wakaman has entered the path of glory. Even Nirvana stage experts want to enter the path of glory. When she comes out, she will be completely different. Wu Daozi's eyes shone brightly. With her aptitude, she will definitely improve by leaps and bounds after entering the Nirvana realm. I'm afraid the gap between her and me will only get bigger and bigger. On the other hand, your brother Saber Demon. What a pity. What's a pity? Lin Feng didn't understand. Wu Daozi looked at Lin Feng. Even now, I don't understand why you gave her the right to enter the path of glory. When their eyes met, Lin Feng smiled. How do you know? Lin Feng was curious. Wu Daozi sighed. Brother Blade Demon, you don't know how fierce the competition in the Glory Alliance is. The elite army, the ace army, the captain and vice captain positions all depend on strength. Although we are the top in the 33 continents, in the Nirvana world, we are only at the upper middle level. There are too many human powerhouses in the Nirvana world. Lin Feng was surprised. Wu Daozi said, human powerhouses who can survive in the Nirvana world. Not only are they strong, but their bloodline is also excellent. The innate conditions and the environment of the Nirvana world are far superior to the 33 continents. Naturally, there are many talented people. Is Ronghua strong in the 33 continents? Lin Feng nodded. Before he appeared, Ronghua was the strongest genius of the Blood Tower. Wu Daozi said, but he is now in the elite army and not at the top. It is impossible for him to be promoted to the ace army in a short time. Swish! Lin Feng's eyes brightened. He knew Ronghua's strength best. How could he not be promoted to the ace army? Shimanzi, blowing snow. Needle Devil, Shi Tian, the 4 of them are in the middle and lower ranks in the ace army. Snow Blowing and Needle Devil could be kicked out of the elite army at any time. Wu Daozi's eyes were bright. Only Yixia has a firm foothold in the ace army. But that's all. If you want to enter the highest level of the glory team, the hope is slim. Lin Feng sighed. The top human experts in the Nirvana world were struggling in the Glory League. Even with Yixia's incredible talent as a sacred power cultivator, he could only stand firm in the ace army. So, in the previous Battle of Glory Star, everyone tried their best to win the championship. Wu Daozi said, because there is a big gap between the champion and the runner-up. The champion can enter the road of glory and become a member of the highest level of the glory team. But many of the runner-up often fell from the ace army to the elite army and finally disappeared from the public. Lin Feng nodded. No wonder the Blood Tower was so powerful in the 33 continents, but was still so ordinary in the Nirvana world. The other 4 superpowers were even worse. In the final analysis, the Nirvana world was too different from the 33 continents. Do you regret it? Wu Daozi asked. Lin Feng smiled and said, what's mine will always be mine. Back then, Fairy Ruomeng was indeed stronger than me. She deserved to be the champion. What's there to regret? Ha ha ha. Wu Daozi laughed heartily. Blade Demon is really Blade Demon. Everyone says you're obsessed with killing people without blinking. In my opinion, you are much better than those famous righteous people fishing for fame. I believe that with your strength, you can stand firm in the Ace Army. In time, you will be able to break into the Glory Team. Let's work hard together." Lin Feng smiled. "Of course, I don't want to lose to those Nirvana world geniuses." Wu Daozi touched his bald head. "Although I am a native. A native can also be very strong," Lin Feng said. Time passed quickly. Suddenly, there was a violent fluctuation. The Glory Realm opened, and a figure came out of the transparent glass cover. His face was cold, wearing a military uniform armor, blue with black edges and blood-red boots. It was the Glory Sergeant. "Those going to the Glory 7 Alliance, follow me. Those going to the Starry 7 Halls, wait a moment." The Glory Sergeant glanced at the crowd and turned to enter. There were no superfluous words. A soldier was like this. His actions were concise and decisive. "Let's go, Brother Blade Demon," Wu Daozi said. Lin Feng nodded. The two of them followed behind the other Niamo experts. Entering the Glory Realm, the rich energy of heaven and earth hit their faces. Lin Feng felt that it was very familiar. White channels seemed to penetrate through space. From time to time, there would be an uproar of surprise. Many Nirvana experts entered the Glory Realm for the first time. Cocoon Grotto Heaven, Misty Land. Lin Feng followed and gradually walked to the end of the Glory Realm. In front of him was a layer of faint white film, flashing with strange light patterns. "This is the first ancient seal. You can enter but not leave. If you're ready, follow me." The Glory Sergeant's voice was indifferent. "If you regret it, it is not too late. The Glory Alliance can change your fate, but it will also make you lose everything and face death. What I can tell you is that the survival rate of the Glory Alliance is 12%. Then, the Glory Sergeant stepped into the ancient seal. Behind him was a group of stunned faces. It was indeed 12%. This number was too ear-piercing. Lin Feng smiled faintly and was the first to take a step forward, crossing the ancient seal. Chapter 735. One Life, One Heaven. After crossing the ancient seal, even though it was only one layer of the seal, it was a completely different world. He could clearly feel the energy of heaven and earth surging over. The True Dragon Star and remote Tai Star rapidly absorbed the energy, and the Tyrant Dragon clone grew. The energy of heaven and earth was 10 times denser. It was equivalent to increasing his cultivation speed by 10 times. Not only that, but the most important thing for Niamo experts was to comprehend the energy of heaven and earth. In the past, it was hazy and difficult to comprehend. Now he was enlightened, and he was suddenly enlightened, while a light flashed beside him. Lin Feng looked at Wu Daozi and smiled. Compared to the other Niamo experts who entered the Glory Alliance, the two of them were already prepared. A 1% survival rate was normal. For martial artists who wanted to reach the pinnacle, this was already a large percentage. What was the chance of success from the Cyclone stage to the Niamo realm? Not even 1 in 10 million. What was the chance of success from a Nirvana stage to the Nirvana stage? Not even 1 in 10,000. For martial artists like Lin Feng and Wu Daozi who wanted to reach the Nirvana stage, they were fighting for that 1 in 10,000 chance. 1% was just a number. Dots of light flashed behind them. One by one, Niamo experts entered. These were all Niamo experts who wanted to become stronger and walk further on the path of cultivation. The vast majority of them had to climb up from the lowest level of the Glory Alliance, one step at a time. After waiting for a while, "Follow me." The Glory Army soldier glanced at everyone and walked forward. Lin Feng and the others followed. High metal walls. Glory Army soldiers could be seen everywhere. Lin Feng looked around. There were all kinds of buildings. Shouts could be heard from time to time. The energy waves were strong. The Glory Alliance was quite big. He couldn't see the end. The other Niamo experts looked around curiously. The group attracted the attention of many idle Glory Army soldiers. Humans of the 33 continents. Shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Their bloodlines are weak. I don't know what they're doing. Just making up the numbers. What else can they do? Disdain and mockery fell into his ears. Lin Feng frowned. Looking at Wu Daozi, the latter was calm and said, "The humans of the Nirvana world have looked down on the humans of the 33 continents for a long time." Lin Feng nodded. Compared to the Nirvana world, the humans of the 33 continents seemed to have just come up from a lower world. Lin Feng and Wu Daozi didn't care. However, many of the other Niemo experts had ugly expressions on their faces. They were all well-known figures in the 33 continents, but here they were being mocked by a group of weak soldiers. The disparity was too great. "What did you say?" A big bearded man was furious. In an instant, the atmosphere was tense. "It's useless to say that." In the distance, an eagle-eyed glory soldier sneered. "Don't think too highly of yourself. Any one of us here is stronger than you." His words were full of arrogance and snobbishness, but the eagle-eyed glory soldier status was not bad. A soldier from the elite army of the Alliance of Seven. This could be seen from his standard armor and the insignia on his shoulder. The Glory Alliance had a specific distribution of armors. Firstly, armors were the easiest to damage in battle. Secondly, in a large-scale battle, it was easier to distinguish between the strong on one side. It wasn't easy to become an elite soldier. The ratio of elite soldiers to ordinary soldiers was 1:100. Say that again, if you have the guts. The big bearded man clenched his fists so hard that his veins popped out. The eagle-eyed glory soldier snorted coldly. "I can say it 10 times. Strength isn't based on words. If you have the ability, come find me during the battle strength evaluation. Remember, my name is Ji Hong." "All right, what are you arguing about?" The glory soldier, leading the way, said unhappily. His voice was like a bell, pressing down on people's hearts. Not only did the big bearded man's expression change, even the eagle-eyed glory soldier Ji Hong was submissive. He even kept quiet. Lin Feng saw this, and his eyes flashed. In the Glory Alliance, there was a huge difference between the upper and lower ranks. Although this Ji Hong was an elite soldier, the glory soldier leading the way was a member of the Ace Army. They had the same title. Their strength and status were completely different. However, what would be the battle strength evaluation later? Lin Feng was very curious. The argument just now was just a small interlude. Where there were people, there would be Jiang Hu. Needless to say, it was common for warriors to fight fiercely. After passing through many corridors, Lin Feng's group arrived at a large battlefield. There were standard armors and all kinds of weapons all around. It was dazzling. Groups of glory soldiers and captains stood. In the middle was a glory captain with a cold expression. He was the Ace Army's captain. "Welcome to the Glory Alliance." The Ace Army's captain said, "No matter where you come from, as long as you have the heart to slay demons and bring glory to humanity, the Glory Alliance welcomes you. Here, you can unleash your potential and create your own glory." His words were sonorous and shocking. "As usual, we have to verify your identity first." The Ace Army's captain swept his gaze and pointed not far away. "This is the revealing heart stone. It goes straight to the heart. No matter if it is a demon that walks the path of transformation or a demoness that cultivates a demon heart, they cannot escape the revealing heart stone's test. Begin." The glory soldiers leading the way at the front stepped to the side. The Nyemal warriors at the front stepped forward one by one. Lin Feng looked at the illuminating stone. It was a semi-oval stone with ancient brown vein patterns. It looked like a huge half-cobblestone. "Wow!" The first Nyemal warrior who touched the revealing heart stone was startled. The moment he touched it, the revealing heart stone flashed. The Ace Army's captain said, "Pass." "Next." The Nyemal warrior let out a sigh. He was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. After he left, the revealing heart stone returned to normal. "That's strange," Lin Feng praised. Wu Daozi nodded. "Because the Nirvana world is rich in energy, there are many treasures that the 33 continents don't have. The revealing heart stone is actually very simple. It resonates with a human soul. No matter how the demons and demons change, the nature of their souls will not change." Lin Feng nodded. Demons who walked the path of transformation could almost be indistinguishable from humans. Demons like Zuizitong could also disguise themselves as humans. But only humans had the talent of a human soul. Pass. Next. Next. The Ace Army's captain's voice kept coming. After the first crab-eating test, the other Ninmo powerhouses passed in succession. They were no longer nervous. White light flashed one after another. Although this was a routine, it was still unavoidable. After all, if a monster or demon race powerhouse were to sneak in, the consequences would be dire. Soon, it was Lin Feng's turn. He walked forward calmly. The Ace Army's captain looked at him. Lin Feng put his hand on the revealing heartstone. White light flashed, but in a flash. Whoosh! A black light shot out. Bang! The killing intent of all the honorable sergeants and captains exploded, shooting straight up into the sky. Chapter 736. Lin Feng was also stunned. Was he not human? He had never thought of this question before. He thought that it was just a formality, but he did not expect such a change. However, he did not have time to think about it. The surging killing intent wanted to tear him to pieces. For Lin Feng, what he had to consider now was how to break out of the encirclement. His gaze suddenly sharpened. A black lotus appeared in Lin Feng's hand, and his blade whirl-bloomed. The eyes of the ace captain in charge of the examination lit up. Like a huge wave, a terrifying force immediately collapsed the blade world. Swish! Lin Feng's heart tightened like a boulder. The ace captain in front of him was very powerful. Not only was he in the Sage Ascension stage, but he was also one of the best in the Sage Ascension stage. Stop! The ace captain stared at Lin Feng. The killing intent in the surroundings surged. Rays of steel like cold light looked over. Their auras were firmly locked. Lin Feng frowned. The situation was very unfavorable to him. Not only was he surrounded, but the ace captain in front of him was also extraordinarily powerful. The most troublesome thing was this was the Glory Alliance. I'm a human. Lin Feng spat out these 4 words. His voice was audible when he landed. Even he himself was a little shaken. Firstly, he wasn't a human from Nemo. Who knew how the reflecting stone could differentiate the innate soul? After all, he was a 3rd-generation human, and the humans on Nemo were 2nd-generation humans. Secondly, the most important reason was he could absorb demon cores. This was an ability that only the demon race had. Humans could not absorb the energy of demon cores. Could it be that I really have the bloodline of the demon race? Lin Feng hesitated. However, no matter what he thought, he could only show one reaction: unwavering. If he did not believe that he was a human, how could others believe him? Another demon trying to sneak in. It's also possible that the demon race is despicable and shameless. Kill it. We can't let it go. The soldiers of the Glory Alliance hated the demon race and the demon race. He was so angry that he wanted to tear Lin Feng into pieces. On the other side, Wu Daozi and the people of the 33 continents were stunned, not understanding what was going on. The famous blade demon Lin Feng, the #1 expert of the 33 continents. He's actually not human? Silence. The ace lieutenant shouted coldly, full of majesty. Their eyes met. Lin Feng didn't see any killing intent in the captain's eyes. Press it again. As if trying to lower Lin Feng's guard, the captain's powerful aura dissipated. Like the roaring waves of the sea, all was calm in an instant. Lin Feng pursed his lips. Once again, he placed his hand on the reflecting stone. Whoosh, the white light was the first to light up, and soft sounds could be heard from the surroundings. In the next instant, the black light suddenly shot out, causing an uproar. Lin Feng's expression was grave. The ace lieutenant looked at the black and white light and muttered to himself, "No, if it's the demon race or the demon race, there shouldn't be white light, unless you have the bloodline of the demon race or the demon race." The ace lieutenant scolded fiercely. Lin Feng's mind raced. According to the ace lieutenant, the appearance of the white light meant that he was indeed human, but the black light, "I'm human," Lin Feng said with certainty again. "Impossible." The ace lieutenant said in a deep voice, "A human's talent soul is pure. It's impossible for there to be black light." Even if there are divine beasts and ferocious beasts, they would only carry some small black spots. Like this, the fusion of white and black. Divine beasts? Lin Feng trembled. I understand. Understand what? The ace lieutenant didn't understand. Lin Feng said, this is a matter of privacy. I wonder if you can report to Commander He and ask him to meet me alone. The ace lieutenant said softly, you entered through the Battle of Glory? Lin Feng nodded. Second place of the Battle of Glory, Lin Feng. The ace lieutenant hesitated for a moment, then said a few words to the ace lieutenant beside him. He turned to look at Lin Feng. Come with me. Okay. Lin Feng followed. He Jin, Commander He. He was the person in charge of the Battle of Glory. He said that if he became a member of the Alliance of Seven's trump card army, he could come find him if he needed anything. In this situation, Lin Feng naturally thought of him. The black and white light he saw through the reflection stone was more than 99% likely to be a doppelganger, because he had the T-Rex doppelganger. Although the doppelganger was separated from his talent soul, the heart fusion art wasn't a doppelganger secret technique that forcefully took over the body. The key to the heart fusion art was the word fusion. Only by fusing the original soul of the T-Rex doppelganger with the essence of his talent soul could he ensure the T-Rex's talent and talent. Lin Feng. He Jin walked in with a majestic gait, his eyes bright. The ace lieutenant followed closely behind him. Obviously, he had already told him everything. Commander He. Lin Feng saluted. Now that he had broken through to become a Nemo elite, he finally realized how terrifying this imposing man in front of him was. He was a transcendent existence that far surpassed his own strength. If the ace lieutenant wanted to take him down, he might be able to block a few moves. But if it was Commander He in front of him, there was no way he could resist. He Jin nodded and waved his hand. The ace lieutenant tactfully retreated. You can speak now. He Jin looked straight at Lin Feng as if he wanted to see through him. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. In an instant, a ferocious figure appeared. It was the T-Rex. Its huge body exuded a majestic aura as it roared in a low voice. He Jin's eyes shone brightly. He suddenly jumped and pressed his hand on Lin Feng's head. Whoosh! Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. A probing energy entered his body. Just like himself, Commander He saw it with his own eyes. He was identifying it. Moments later, thud, He Jin landed on the ground and looked at Lin Feng with burning eyes. Where did you get this clone? I got it by chance, Lin Feng said. In the Nirvana world, the T-Rex was a rare existence. He knew this from Chi Wan's memories. Because it was precious, he didn't want to expose it to others. After all, there were thousands of honor soldiers on the battlefield. People's hearts were unpredictable. He had to be careful. You're quite lucky. He Jin's tone was filled with envy. Seeing his expression relax, Lin Feng knew that he had passed the hurdle. He smiled bitterly. He didn't expect that his doppelganger would fall into the trap right after entering the Honor Alliance. I will keep this a secret for you. He Jin walked over. In the Nirvana world, the T-Rex is very rare. It can only be found in the depths of the 6 great forbidden lands. As the darling of the earth, not only are humans coveting it, but demons and monsters are also scrambling for its bloodline. So, unless necessary, remember not to expose it in front of others. I understand. Lin Feng's heart warmed. He Jin patted Lin Feng's shoulder and said, You are a good seedling. Train well in the Ace Army. Come, follow me to see the combat strength evaluation. I will also help you clarify your identity. Okay, Lin Feng smiled. Chapter 737. Commander He. On the battlefield, voices rang out in unison. Every honorable sergeant and lieutenant was respectful and respectful. He Jin's name was well known in the Glory 7 Alliance. Not only was he a commander, but he was also the commander of the Trump Card Army. He was one of the 3 Trump Card commanders of the entire Glory 7 Alliance. He had a lot of power and prestige in the Alliance. Lin Feng's identity has been verified. There is no need to question him in the future. He Jin said, Yes. The honorable sergeants answered loudly. There were no doubts. It was enough to see He Jin's prestige. His words were like an imperial edict. With Commander He's words, Lin Feng relaxed. He looked into the distance. There were two figures fighting in the middle of the battlefield. One of them was the Nye expert who had entered with him. The other was an elite soldier. It looked like they were fighting fiercely, but the elite soldier had been defending and hadn't made a single move. The newcomer's battle strength evaluation. Eugene said, whether you come from the 33 continents or the Nyamo world, the Glory Alliance treats everyone the same. New soldiers have a chance to be evaluated. If they defeat an elite soldier, they can enter the elite army. If they defeat an ace soldier, they can become a member of the trump card army. Their positions are not fixed. Every half a year, there will be a combat strength evaluation. Elite soldiers can also become ace soldiers. Otherwise, ace soldiers can also fall. Lin Feng nodded. Previously, Daozi had mentioned that there was still a month before the first half of the year's battle strength evaluation. Shi Manzi, Snowblowing, Needle Devil, and Shi Tian, the four of them were in the middle or lower ranks of the ace troops. Especially Snowblowing and Needle Devil. They could be demoted to the elite troops at any time. While they were talking, the elite soldiers had already attacked. The defense was impenetrable and the attacks were as dense as a forest. The Nye experts of the 33 continents were quickly defeated. It's my turn. The large bearded man jumped out and angrily stared into the distance. I want to compete with you, Ji Hong. Haha, do you think I'm afraid of you? The eagle-eyed elite soldier laughed. The two had already had a dispute before, so it was time to end it. As soon as Pu made his move, Lin Feng immediately knew the strength of the two. The eagle-eyed elite sergeant was obviously stronger. Although the bearded man did have some skills, his large ring sword and his strength was not bad. The eagle-eyed elite sergeant Ji Hong's control of his body. His comprehension of profound intent was far superior to his opponent's. Not long after, the bearded man was defeated. I said that you people from the 33 continents are weak, but you still don't admit it. The hawk-eyed elite soldier looked disdainfully at the bearded man. You overestimate yourself. The bearded man's face turned red from the humiliation of being humiliated. So what if his skills were inferior? Lin Feng frowned. Although Hawkeye's elite soldiers were strong, but his words were sharp and unkind, extremely unpleasant to the ears. Don't mind them. They are just jealous, Eugene said. Jealous? Lin Feng was stunned. Eugene nodded. To be able to step into the Nirvana realm in a place as barren as the 33 continents, their aptitude is actually not that bad. On the contrary, many of the humans in the Nirvana realm have already exhausted their potential and have reached the strength barrier. Lin Feng was deep in thought. Commander He's words were quite reasonable. Whether it is the Glory Alliance or Starry Hall, the reason why they paid such a huge price to recruit the geniuses of the 33 continents is because of this. Eugene glanced over. All of you are unpolished jade. Unpolished but dazzling. As long as you can adapt, your strength will often soar, and your potential will be astonishing. Many people in the Glory team come from the 33 continents. These years, the new powers in the Nirvana realm from the 33 continents have flourished because of this. Lin Feng nodded in understanding. No wonder these honorable soldiers didn't like the 33 continents. Those who don't make others jealous are mediocre. Lin Feng smiled. The mocking laughter from the surroundings was no longer ear-piercing. He quietly watched as the newcomer battle strength evaluation continued. Basically, in every battle, the Nirvana experts of the 33 continents lost miserably. After all, their opponents were not simple. They were all elite soldiers. They were utterly defeated and lost face. But looking at it from the outside, it was actually a good thing. No shame and be brave. Lin Feng thought to himself. To these Nirvana experts, they were originally invincible in the 33 continents. But now it was like a blow to the head. Not only did it dispel their arrogance, it also made them carry pressure as they moved forward. It would make it easier to use their potential. There were many advantages and no disadvantages. Aren't you going to evaluate your own battle strength? At this time, the newcomer battle strength evaluation was coming to an end. Eugene looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered. Didn't I directly enter the Ace Army? Directly enter. Eugene nodded. But don't you want to know your current strength? What level is it at? He Jin's eyes lit up. Every elite soldier here has the strength of the top 8 of the Battle of Glory Star. I know, Lin Feng said. He Jin said, you came at a bad time. In a month's time, it will be the first half of the year's combat strength evaluation. According to the rules, the 16 people ranked at the bottom of the Ace Army will continue to fight with the 160 people ranked at the top of the Elite Army to decide whether they will stay or not. Let me remind you, out of the 16 people, only 1 or 2 can stay in the Ace Army. Only with competition can there be improvement. Lin Feng did not dislike this. I can help you arrange for the top 160 people of the Elite Army to fight. Each of them is stronger than Ruan Meng. He Jin said. Lin Feng's heart warmed. Commander, he was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. He had always been helping him. At this time, Wu Daozi of the 33 continents. Wu Daozi jumped out and pointed at an elite soldier with a halberd on his back. You. There was an uproar. He overestimates himself. That's right. He dares to challenge Wu Ge. He doesn't know how to write the word death. Let's see how he loses. Everyone sneered. Obviously, the elite soldier with the halberd on his back was not weak. Wu Ge, 47th in the Elite Army. He will definitely participate in the first half of the year's battle strength evaluation, He Jin said. Lin Feng nodded. Wu Daozi was smart. He was not provoked to fight, but to plan for himself. There were not many people in the Ace Army. Including himself and Wu Daozi, there were a total of 11 people. Excluding the Ace captains and Nirvana Ascension Stage A soldiers, there were only about half left. There was still a month before the first half of the year's battle strength evaluation. There was not enough time to prepare, so Wu Daozi was likely to be in the bottom 16. Now, there was a chance to test his strength for free. Why not? But the difference in strength was too big. Wu Daozi is the same as me. He just reached the first level of the Nirvana Ascension stage not long ago. Lin Feng looked at Wu Ge, who stepped out like a god of war. With a clang, he raised his halberd. The halberd's world was as strong as Ruan Meng's. 9th level of the Nirvana Ascension stage. The halberd's heart is strong, and the humans in the Nirvana world have a strong understanding of mysteries. Lin Feng's heart trembled. In the blink of an eye, the battle had already begun. Chapter 738. Clang. The first to attack was Wu Ge. His halberd world surged out. Like a war god, his strength was unparalleled. A sky-piercer halberd smashed out like a diamond awl, turning complexity into simplicity. Powerful, Lin Feng secretly said. He was worthy of being a top-ranked elite soldier. His combat experience was extremely rich. This seemingly simple move brought out all his advantages. The most important thing was the halberd heart. Having the halberd heart was the same as having the sword heart or blade heart. The halberd world was like one's own domain. It had an absolute suppressive effect on opponents whose realm was not high enough. Wu Daozi did not have the palm heart. The main reason why he was defeated by Goddess Wakaman that day was because of this. But this time, bang, the palm energy exploded, as if it had opened up a small area in Wu Ji's halberd world. Using the 8 trigrams palm with his body technique, Wu Daozi spun like a top, using softness to overcome strength, avoiding Wu Ji's strong and fierce halberd. There was an uproar. Palm heart. Lin Feng secretly nodded. During this period of time, he was not the only one who had improved. The defeat in the Battle of Glory Star made Wu Daozi clearly understand where he was weak. When fighting with ordinary Nirvana realm experts, the difference in their blade and sword techniques was not big. But if he wanted to compete with those outstanding geniuses in the Nirvana realm, he had to cross the ordinary level. He had to reach the heart level. Initial comprehension, He Jin said softly. His eyes suddenly sharpened and his body shook. This is... Lin Feng was shocked. Wu Daozi spun like a top. His sudden counterattack landed on Wu Ji's armor, knocking him back. But what surprised him was not this palm, but Yang Kuan's Saint Chi. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The fusion of Earth Saint Chi and Yang Saint Chi was Yang Kuan's Saint Chi, second only to the fusion of 2 kinds of heaven and earth energy. But because yin and yang Saint Chi were more compatible with heaven and earth, the fusion of the 5 kinds of heaven and earth energy with yin and yang Saint Chi was easier to reach perfection. This kind of perfection was stronger than the normal fusion of 2 kinds of heaven and earth energy. But Wu Daozi did not have a perfect fusion. It was not Yang Kuan's Saint Chi. In his Saint Chi, there was a 3rd energy. 5 elements, earth energy. He Jin murmured, the holy chi of the earth can easily merge with the holy chi of the earth, and then merge with the holy chi of the sun. Even though it gives up on perfection, it adds another type of holy chi, making the source point even stronger. This is the way of Diao recorded in the classics. The Tao of Earth Yao? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He Jin nodded and said, it's named after the legendary powerful being called King Yao. Powerful beings who walk on the path of King Yao are at least at the nirvana stage. The more holy chi you fuse with, the better. The higher the grade, the more you absorb 3 types of Saint Chi, which is 50% more than absorbing 2 types of energy. Lin Feng looked at Wu Daozi and sighed. It's a pity that it's just a normal fusion. Otherwise, the level of the holy chi would be even higher. Supreme grade Yao Chi, in terms of quality, is already top grade among all supreme grade Yao Chi. He Jin's eyes flashed. The fusion of 3 types of Saint Chi is a normal fusion, but it's enough to level up. 3 types of superior grade, 1 holy chi. Lin Feng asked. He Jin said it should be his limit. If he fuses 3 types of advanced Saint Chi, the possibility of failure is very high. Even if he succeeds, it's just barely. The loss outweighs the gain. Lin Feng nodded. With the power of the Valley of Enlightenment, it should not be difficult to have 3 types of advanced Saint Chi. With Wu Daozi's intelligence, he knew where his limit was. But the level difference is a bit too big. Lin Feng glanced at the 2 people engaged in a fierce battle. Although Wu Ge had been caught off guard by Wu Daozi, he had quickly calmed down. Every move he made was based on his true strength, especially his halberd world, which still held the advantage. Although Wu Daozi comprehended the palm world, there was a difference in level. Just like the 12th realm, there was a big difference between the lower tier and the peak of the 12th realm. I can only resist in a small area and can't break his halberd world. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. This was one of Wu Daozi's disadvantages. Coupled with the difference in level, the disadvantage was undoubtedly further magnified. Elementary, nuance, perfection, extreme, He Jin said. The difference of 2 levels is too big. Lin Feng nodded. Wu Daozi's palm realm was similar to his, probably at the nuance realm. Wu Ji's halberd heart was at the same level as Sword Hall Master Yun Xing and Ao Jianwei. Halberd heart was at the extreme. Even so, Wu Daozi still wandered in the gaps of the halberd technique, as if he could predict the future, always finding the attack point in an instant. Although he was slightly weaker than Wu Ge, he used defense as an attack and waited for an opportunity to counterattack. For a moment, Wu Ge had no way to deal with him. Bang! Wu Ge made another mistake and was repelled, causing an uproar. Bloodline talent, mind-eye, He Jin murmured. What bloodline is this? Lin Feng was curious. A bloodline, He Jin said. A bloodline is a large branch of ancient bloodlines, but it is often awakened by saint power cultivators. Lin Feng thought of the blood shadow seed sunflower. On his forehead, when the bloodline talent was activated, a hideous crack would appear, and a third eye would open vertically. Behind him, an ugly dragon would roar. But there are also some auxiliary eye bloodlines, such as clairvoyance, which can easily see tens of thousands of miles away and can avoid danger as soon as possible. Clairvoyance, which can see through all tangible objects, including all kinds of living beings. Sharingan, which can copy the opponent's moves and apply what they have learned. Mind-eye can attack and defend, and can see the opponent's flaws when attacking, and can predict the opponent's moves when defending. Is quite good among auxiliary eye bloodlines, He Jin said. Lin Feng was enlightened. Listening to a wise man's words was better than reading for 10 years. No wonder, Commander, he was one of the top figures in the Alliance of Glory. There was nothing he didn't know. In a battle of similar strength, mind-eye can play a very strong role. He Jin said, added with his ordinary earth Yao Holy Chi, there are very few people who can defeat him in a battle of equal strength. He Jin sighed. I didn't expect there to be so many talents in this year's Battle of Glory. Except for Yixia, there's a fish that escaped the net. Yeah, Lin Feng also sighed. Wu Daozi had changed a lot. In just a few months, he seemed to have been reborn. He Jin glanced at Lin Feng. Your innate talent is that your body is strong, enough to be comparable to a demon of the same level. But to a human, the advantage of a body type innate talent becomes smaller the further you advance, unless you can specialize in the path of strength like a demon. So far, you seem to have fallen behind Wu Daozi and Yixia. Lin Feng smiled. Obviously, Commander he regarded his titanium body as a talent bloodline. After all, the swirl body was very hidden. But these words were not so much advice, but more like provocation. As the commander of an ace troop, it was understandable that he wanted to know the talent, potential, and fighting strength of each member. But, Chapter 739. Lin Feng's frank admission surprised He Jin. What's the name of Mr. J? Oh, Ma faint smile appeared on Wu Daozi's mouth corners. Then he turned his eyes back to the battle on the battlefield. By now, the battle had already reached its climax, and both sides had given their all. Wu Ge was obviously more powerful than Wu Daozi, but with the help of his mind's eye and the Yao holy power, Wu Daozi was also giving his best. It was a wonderful battle. It was also a cruel battle. Both of them were injured, but He Jin still stood firmly and didn't stop the battle. This is the army. Lin Feng clearly understood that although the Glory Alliance looked like a loose alliance, it was actually as tight as a hemp rope. Every captain and soldier had an iron-blooded temperament. They had been tempered on the battlefield and were very similar to the soldiers of ancient China. Injuries were nothing out of the ordinary. In a battle, they had to try their best. The brave one would win. Bang! In this head-on collision, Taoist Wu coughed and was sent flying backwards. Although his innate skill minds, I was powerful, there was still a considerable gap between their strengths. This strike had caused the situation to become clear. The soldiers that had been quiet all this time suddenly became excited and howled like wolves. Wu Daozi is going to lose. Lin Feng knew clearly. Wu Ge wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. He followed up with another attack. Wu Daozi couldn't continue and could only swallow the bitter fruit of defeat. But for him, winning was not the most important thing. The most important thing was to understand his current strength and prepare for the first half of the year's assessment. The newcomer assessment was just a formality. Wu Ge, Wu Ge, Wu Ge. The soldiers raised their arms and shouted. Wu Ge was like a victorious god of war. He beat his chest with his left hand and roared. Wu Ge. He was also very depressed about this battle. He had never seen such a difficult opponent. He was like a ball of cotton candy, unable to exert any force. Lin Feng looked at Wu Daozi. Wu Daozi stood up with his hand covering his wound. They looked at each other. Wu Daozi showed a bitter smile. Blood dripped from the wound on his chest. Wu Daozi left the battlefield. He looked very lonely. Go back to the 33 continents. A bunch of overconfident monkeys. This is a nirvana world. You bunch of country bumpkins shouldn't come here. Mocking voices rang out again. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Although he knew that it was mostly jealousy, he still felt a little uncomfortable when he heard it. Especially at this moment. More than 100 people from the 33 continents had been defeated miserably. The shame was unbearable, and he clenched his fists. When he saw Daozi's bleak back, it was like a needle stabbing into his heart. The mockery was like a demonic sound that pierced his ears. Wanton and insolent laughter. It was an insult to all the martial artists who had tried their best. Step. Lin Feng walked out. Feel with your heart and act with your heart. The mocking laughter weakened a bit, and many gazes gathered. The experts of Ninmo from the 33 continents also looked up. When they saw Lin Feng, their ashamed eyes immediately brightened. They might not know Wu Daozi, but Blade Demon Lin Feng, who didn't know him. The true king of the 33 continents. Swish. Wu Daozi's eyes lit up. OM. The corners of Yi Jin's mouth curled up slightly as he looked over calmly. Another one. Those bumpkins from the 33 continents are really not afraid of losing face. That's already 100 and something. Isn't that the one from before? Discussions broke out everywhere. Lin Feng ignored them and stood at the center of the battlefield. He had seen too many of such scenes. His gaze indifferently swept across the soldiers and captains. Lin Feng suddenly said, "Who will go first?" The three words fell heavily. In an instant, the originally noisy crowd became silent. The soldiers and captains all looked at each other, somewhat unsure of what to do. When the matter truly fell on their heads, everyone would be somewhat hesitant. However, there were naturally many brave ones. "I'll go." His voice was as loud as a bell, and a nearly 2-meter-tall muscular man carrying a giant axe strode out with large strides. There was a deep scar on his face. The giant axeman's large hand was covered in black hair as he slapped his chest. "Elite soldier Man Hung, please teach me. 33 continents." Lin Feng said. "You also use your palm?" The giant axeman looked over disdainfully. Lin Feng smiled. "Come. Good luck, Man Hung. Turn him into mincemeat in 3 moves? Ha! Let the bumpkins from the 33 continents see the power of our Nirvana world." The glory soldiers in the surroundings shouted in excitement, but they were already numb from winning. The giant axeman Man Heng's eyes flashed. With a loud shout, his aura surged as his axe whirl poured out. However, in an instant, an even larger blade whirled covered him. Man Heng's expression changed. His giant axe soared into the sky as he roared and slammed down. In the next instant, break! Lin Feng used his hand as a blade and slashed. There was no extra power, no weapon amplification, and not even the titanium gray body. It was just the Taiyu Holy Chi explosion. The tyrannical power of the ultimate grade was like an aurora that pierced through heaven and earth. It seemed unremarkable, but the moment it touched the giant axe, pung, burst. The explosive power of the explosion was shocking. Whoosh! Yi Jin's eyes widened. Man Hung let out a miserable shriek as he was directly taken away by this enormous force. The giant axe shattered, and even the standard armor on his body shattered into pieces. The most direct confrontation was a complete suppression. There was a huge gap in strength that couldn't be resisted. Silence reigned. The entire battlefield was terrifyingly silent. Blade Demon! Blade Demon! The Nirvana experts of the 33 continents shouted crazily with red faces. The pent-up anger in their hearts was released at this moment. Looking at Lin Feng's figure, their eyes were filled with excitement and reverence. This was a true expert. The 33 continents weren't weak, because they had the Blade Demon, the unparalleled Blade Demon. What kind of holy chi is this? Yi Jin wasn't surprised by Man Heng's failure. Man Hung was completely brainless. What shocked Yi Jin was Lin Feng's holy chi. He had never seen it before. From the degree of condensation of the holy chi, it was definitely a perfect fusion of holy chi. However, he couldn't see the composition of the holy chi just now. A kind of perfect fusion of holy chi appeared in his mind, but it didn't match. Frowning, Yi Jin's eyes flashed. Could it be a perfect fusion of 3 holy chis? Impossible. No wonder Yi Jin was shocked. Perfect fusion was already difficult, let alone 3 holy chi. The most terrifying thing was Lin Feng's holy chi grade. No, it's not ultimate grade. Even ultimate grade holy chi is far inferior to his holy chi. Looking at Lin Feng, Yi Jin's body trembled. What did he find? Ultimate holy chi. It's definitely ultimate holy chi. Yi Jin's lips were dry, and his heart was beating wildly. Ultimate holy chi was rare in the entire Nirvana world, and there was only one person in the entire Glory Alliance 7. The top source of the Nirvana world had appeared in front of him. Chapter 740. The Glory Sergeant tasted defeat for the first time. Although they were just ordinary elite corporals, but no matter what, they were defeated without even using a blade. That kind of shock was quite intense. However, in the blink of an eye, thousands of Glory Sergeant exploded in anger. It was as if they had been provoked and slapped in the face. After all, Lin Feng was not wearing a military uniform. "I'll do it. Go away. I'll go first. Let me deal with this brat." In an instant, all the experts stood up and stepped forward. The veins on their foreheads were furious. Before the fight even started, they were already in a heated argument. All the elite sergeants and staff sergeants had a common enemy and wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Feng into pieces. It was in line with the motto of the Glory Alliance. The competition within the alliance was fierce, but the outside world was united. However, "You want to come together?" Lin Feng's voice was not heavy, but it was as if he had stepped on a tiger's tail. It immediately added fuel to the fire. All the elite soldiers raised their eyebrows, and their anger soared. His frivolous words were like contempt for the juniors, even though Lin Feng did not mean that. However, the speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. "What did you say, brat? You're courting death. How dare you?" The soldiers roared, unable to restrain their anger. Lin Feng was surrounded. Facing the angry voices of thousands of Glory Sergeant, the martial artists of the 33 continents were instantly drowned out. Only Lin Feng remained calm. His expression did not change even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. His calmness caused Jin, who was not far away, to narrow his eyes. "All right." The voice was like a mountain pressing down, carrying an invisible dignity. Jin pointed with his finger. "Luo Yi, you go." "Yes, Commander." An arrogant voice sounded. A young man holding a 9-ringed saber stepped out. The golden blade was covered with 9 sharp ring blades, like 9 barbs, cold and sinister. Although the other elite soldiers who wanted to fight were indignant, military orders were like mountains. They had no choice but to say no. "Luo Yi, don't embarrass us. Clean and neat. Finish him off with 1 slash. This brat from the 33 continents is too damn arrogant. Destroy his prestige." Unknowingly, the voices of the Glory Sergeant were no longer relaxed. The defeat, just now, to them, it was like slapping the left side of their face. They might have won 100 rounds, but one defeat was enough to offset everything. If they lost this round, it would be like slapping the left side's face, slapping the right face. Falling Saber, Luo Yi, Elite Staff Sergeant, ranked 8th in the elite army. If there were no accidents, it was very likely that he would stand out in the first half of the year and become an ace soldier. Luo Yi's saber. In an instant, the entire space was enveloped by the cold wind and saber will. Lin Feng's saber world was shattered. Ultimate saber heart. Lin Feng was very calm as he looked at Luo Yi. It was as if he had returned to the day when he had sparred with Sword Hall Master Yinxing. Of sword, he wasn't Daozi Wu Daozi. Clang! Lin Feng raised his saber. Heitung roared like a dark dragon. When the saber fell, the overlord power in Lin Feng's body surged out. It was like a giant sleeping beast suddenly roaring. The overlord power on the 4th level was getting stronger and stronger. His heart grew. How? Lin Feng's aura suddenly changed. Oh! Jin's eyes lit up. With his strength, he could see the profundity. What strong willpower! Luo Yi's expression also changed. How can this be? His originally arrogant expression was somewhat puzzled. His saber heart was clearly suppressing his opponent. Although the saber world was still structured, his opponent's aura was stronger than his. It was like holding a net to restrain a dragon, and this net was only restraining humph. Pretentious. Luo Yi had his pride. He was an elite sergeant and was ranked 8th. How could he be afraid of this country bumpkin from the 33 continents? His holy chi filled the sky. Luo Yi roared as he waved his saber. The wind whistled, and the sand danced in the air. He had killed countless demons with the falling leaf saber, but this time new landslide. He broke the wind with a heavy weight. Like a bell, he was as immovable as a mountain. The same saber had a different saber realm. Luo Yi's saber danced and exploded, but Lin Feng's saber was like a huge mountain pressing down. It landed steadily in the howling wind. Although Luo Yi's saber technique was not inferior to Lin Feng's, and his physical strength was even stronger, The grade of his holy chi greatly increased the gap between them. Superior grade 1 and ultimate. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Bang! The space shook violently, and Luo Ye's blade world seemed to be shattered. Lin Feng's Taiyu Saint Chi was shocking, and He Jin's eyes shone brightly. This time, he was very sure that Lin Feng's Saint Chi was definitely of the Saint Chi level. Ultimate. Genius, super genius. He Jin clenched his fists, and his palms sweated. Every good seedling was urgently needed by the Glory Alliance. Luo Yi, who was flying backward, roared. His aura exploded, and a tooth-shaped light shone on his forehead. Luo Ye's body was covered in green light, and his hair grew. He was like a ferocious beast. The wind swirled around the entire battlefield. Luo Ye's face gradually turned green, and two fangs grew out. Oh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It was rumored to be a shape-shifting bloodline. His body seems to be more agile, and his ferocity has increased. His murderous intent is surging, and his control of the wind has become stronger. Lin Feng looked around. At this time, there were howls of wolves around him. As Luo Yi transformed, the soldiers around him shouted wildly. He suppressed his anger. Chi! Luo Yi transformed into a green wolf, and his speed was as fast as a demon. In a short time, his speed increased by more than 10 times. The wind swirled around the battlefield, and the sound of bells rang out like a funeral bell. Luo Ye's eyes were cold and bright. His 9-ringed saber surged like the wind in clouds. He was indeed a super expert ranked 8th among the elite soldiers. But this time, he met his nemesis. New storm. Lin Feng's expression was cold as he waved his saber. Fighting wind with wind. The wind howled, and the whirlpool contained high-level thunder, profound intent. Whirlpools of thunder condensed in the void, swallowing everything. Accompanied by the storm, the whirlpools of thunder spun rapidly. Small whirlpools turned into large whirlpools, and large whirlpools turned into huge whirlpools of thunder, tearing and swallowing everything. Ultimate, grand nether sacred chi. Bang! The power that swallowed everything, and the black and white light intertwined, reflecting Luo Ye's terrified gaze. In the blink of an eye, all the storms turned into thunderous rumbles. Bang! 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 The entire battlefield exploded as if it had been razed to the ground. One by one, the Glory Army was dumbfounded and stood in place. The wind blew, and a figure holding a huge black saber gradually appeared. He was like a god of war. Luo Yi, who had transformed into a green wolf on the battlefield, had already fainted. Even his weapon had fallen out his hand. A crushing defeat.